Hello and welcome to round 7 of the FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship here at the Cumbrian Kart Circuit at Rowrah. We have over 30 great races coming up this weekend where championships could be decided, so stay tuned to us all weekend to get all the action. But first, let's hear from some of the riders down in the paddock. So we're here with Saraviya racing in the Extreme 200s. First of all, Philip, we're coming towards the end of the season. How are you feeling going into round 7?
I'm really kind of happy. I have a lead in the championship, and maybe if I get all 3 races podiums, I can maybe get the championship at this round. If not, I can get it at Red Lodge. But yeah, so far the weather's beautiful. My favourite track actually here, so I really love this track. And yeah.
And what is it that you like about this circuit here at Rowrah?
I love the hairpins, the heavy braking is really nice, but then also the last sector, it has some really flowing sections, just kind of elbow down, which I like. It's part of my style, so yeah.
And conditions already are quite windy. Do you think that's going to affect you on the bike this weekend?
Nah, just chuck on some super softs and it'll be as grippy as ever. But yeah, the weather's really nice actually. It's just cold, but it's sunny. At least it's not raining.
And you've got a new bike this weekend. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? And it looks like a bike actually that we've seen before here this year.
Yeah, it's Harvey Claridge's bike. Thank you, Harvey, if you're watching. And yeah, my KTM 85 blew up while training, I think like a month ago, and we can't get a cylinder head for it, so now I'm riding this. So. And
why don't you tell us a little bit about it and what exactly it is?
It's a 105 engine with some random suspension. I don't really know what it is. I think the front's from a Honda and the rear's from like a pit bike. And yeah, it is a Metrokit frame. So it's kind of nice going back to a little Metrokit, the one I rode in last year. And yeah, I like the bike quite a lot actually. Yeah.
And what's been the biggest thing that you've noticed jumping from the KTM 85 to this?
It's a lot lower down, like the Metrokit, it's a lot lower down. Other than that, I can notice a bit more power as well because it's a 105 and I was riding the 85. It does wheelie out of corners because it's really light, but other than that, it's pretty similar.
And this year, you've been racing the British Talent Cup. How's your season went so far? And have you got any aims and objectives coming towards the end of the season?
Last round, Snetterton was my best round. I came 5th and 4th after finally getting a good setup on the bike and an engine refresh as well, because we found out my cylinder head was actually cracked. And yeah, it's been a really good round actually. Maybe I can start getting some consistent top 10s or even top 5s as I showed at Snetterton. I was 5th and 4th and it was quite consistent, so yeah.
And we have rounds such as Donington Park, Brands Hatch coming up for a British Talent Cup. Are there any circuits that you're hoping for maybe your best result of the season, or the tracks that you like that are coming up?
I've been at Donny earlier in the season, but we just did the national circuit, so it's just really the final sector that I have to learn because all the other corners I've already ridden on. But I reckon I'll actually like the track with a good suspension setup and a good bike, so I reckon it'll be fun, yeah.
Well, good luck for the rest of the season here at FAB and in the British Talent Cup.
Thank you.
So we're here with Chris Wells. Chris, we're here at round 7 at Rowrah. How do you like this circuit heading into the weekend?
It's first time here, so 4 sessions in so far, and it's a mega track. Yeah, real good tarmac, and the layout's just amazing. Yeah.
And what exactly is it that you like about the circuit? Is it the hairpins or is it the undulations that we have here?
It's the roller coaster feeling, up and down through this top corner here, down into the right. That's different to any other track in the UK, really.
And how have you thought that your seasons went so far? Because we're at the closing stages of the season now. Are you looking maybe towards championship points now, or is it still going 100% every single race?
Started off really good at Lid, and then it went rapidly downhill. A lot of crashes, few mechanicals, but yeah, really enjoyed the season. So just a solid finish to the year, really. Ready for next year.
And talking about next year, any plans set in stone for next year? Will it be returning back to pit bikes, or what's the plan?
So I've got an extreme bike as well, so maybe keep that, do both pit bikes and extreme. Just need to get quicker on it to keep up with the front lads, really. So yeah, back next year, pit bikes again, hopefully the KTM as well.
And conditions this weekend is looking quite changeable later on in the weekend. Are you wanting maybe some wet weather here, or are you just wanting completely dry to learn the circuit?
I've been hoping it's going to be dry all weekend, to be honest. I didn't know it was going to rain. I'm open to any conditions, really. I'll give it best in each show.
And what would you say yourself has been the biggest thing that you've learnt this season from racing here at FAB?
Trying to stay on the bike is the biggest thing I need to learn this year. Just keeping up with the front lads. Every time you're behind them, behind Rossi, Taylor, you're just learning things. So yeah, it's been a great year.
And obviously no Rossi this weekend, and Taylor Lawrence's final round here at FAB. Maybe is that a chance for you in this final round to maybe bag some good points and some maybe even a race win?
I've only had one podium this year, so hopefully now Rossi's not here, jump on the podium and tag on to him, really. Yeah.
Well, good luck for this weekend. We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
So we're here with Lucy, who also races in the AC40 Pros. It's only our third meeting here at FAB this year. How have you felt it's went so far?
I think it's went quite good so far.
And why is that?
Because I'm having some battles, even though I'm at the Battle Pros, it's like still fun. I'm having a good time.
And you've just came off from a practice session, had a debrief. Why don't you tell us what you discussed in that and what ideas you've came up with?
About like throttle control and like the 10 points and stuff like that.
And how have you found the circuit here at Rowrah? Is it a circuit that you enjoy?
Yeah, I find it quite good because there's a bit of everything in it.
And so far this year, you've only done 3 circuits here at FAB, but what's been your favourite so far?
Probably Rowrah. Yeah, that's fine.
And your younger brother's racing the same class as you. How have you enjoyed that, having another family member on the grid and trying to beat him as well?
I think it's quite good. Sometimes we get a bit of competition within each other, but yeah.
And who's going to win this weekend between you and your brother?
Well, I'm going to try and beat him, but probably Brad.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. We wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you.
So we're here with Ollie Sims, who races in the Mini GP70s. Ollie, first of all, how have you felt like your seasons went so far?
It's been alright. We're getting better each round, so hopefully we can end the last couple of rounds on a high. Hopefully get maybe a top 5.
And how have you found the Rowrah circuit so far?
It's a bit difficult. It's very, very twisty and turny, but I'm getting better each session, and hopefully I can keep improving.
And this season, how have you found the Mini GP70? What is it like just to ride one of these bikes?
It's fast. It's fun. It's got a lot of power, and that's pretty much it.
And what's been the biggest thing that you've had to learn riding the Metrokit 70?
Maybe to put a bit more weight on the front, so then the front's not tucking and the rear's not sliding. It's in the bit in the middle.
And at this point in the season, are you looking towards the championship points, or is it, as you said, just try and get the best finishes of the year?
It's a bit of both, really. Hopefully I can get inside top 10 in the championship, and hopefully I can just keep improving each round.
And heading into this weekend, who would you say is your biggest competitor and your biggest rival?
Probably Noah Guillory, because we're a bit of both. We've been battling most of the season, so yeah.
And obviously, who do you think is going to win that rivalry this weekend?
Hopefully me. Hopefully.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend and the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So we're here in the paddock it's on the lunch break right now. There's quite a few riders now just playing about in the paddock with their friends. So, Jensen, could we have a quick word?
Hello.
So, Jensen, how are you feeling headed into this weekend?
Good, I did the practice session.
And how have you felt like it's went?
What?
How have you felt like the practice session has went?
Good.
Why is that? Is it a circuit you enjoy here at Rowrah?
I kind of like the circuit. It's just the hairpins I don't like.
So, with the rest of the weekend, is it just be focusing on them hairpins, trying to get a better line through it?
Maybe.
And have you got any objectives going into this weekend? Any aims and positions?
Try get a podium.
And who do you think is your biggest rival and competitor?
I think maybe Oliver Hall or Chloe.
And what's been the biggest thing that you've learnt so far this year in the AC40 Pro class?
I think corner speed.
And has it been something that you've just had to gradually build up, or is it just almost like an instant switch?
Gradually build up.
And we're coming to the end of the season. What's your aim for the final championship position?
Finish ahead of Oliver Hall and Chloe.
And do you believe you can do that with the final rounds here at Rowrah and Red Lodge? Is Red Lodge a track that you like?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks.
And now we're just going to try and chat to a few more riders here. Chloe Gleeson walking past us now. Chloe, how are you feeling heading into this weekend?
I'm feeling good, thank you.
And why is that?
Because I've had a couple of good practice sessions.
And is it a circuit you enjoy then, with all the undulations that we have here?
Yeah, it's a fast flowing track because there's loads of straights and there's loads of corners that you can just keep on the power. So yeah, I like it.
And how have you thought that your seasons went so far this year?
I'm hoping I get a good weekend. Yeah, it's going good, thank you.
And have you made your aim so far this year? Is it a season that's really developed you as a rider?
Yeah, it's changed me so much.
And how have you found the paddock here at FAB and the racing family almost?
They're really kind, they're really friendly. Yeah, I really like FAB.
And what's been the biggest thing that you've learnt this year?
To have fun and enjoy my races, because if you don't, what's the point of doing it then?
That's a great attitude to have.
Thank you.
And well, good luck for the rest of the season. Good luck for this weekend. Hopefully you can get your aims for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And there's still a few riders about. Henry McCartney just looking at the track, admiring its beauty. So Henry, how are you feeling heading into this weekend? It's a nice hat you've got on, matches your levers.
Yes. Going into this weekend, felt really confident after Landau, and I feel like I could be up there.
And well, yeah, I certainly think you could be up there, but it's a 139-point gap heading into the weekend from Ethan Sparks. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think I should really go for first, but there is a good point defending from Ronnie in second, so I'm just going to try and beat Ronnie every race and try and keep in front of him in the championship.
So do you not think you can close that gap with the remaining points that we have on offer, because it's only 150 points?
I'm going to try my best, but I don't know, see how it turns out.
I'm guessing you're going to be hoping for a miracle, maybe the heavens opening, because we know how great you are in the wet.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, it has been raining quite a lot, so I hope it does rain. But if not, I still think I really have the pace.
And how have you found this year on the Mini GP70?
On the Mini GP70, it's a really good bike, very talky, and it's a good bike it's very close bike, very all the same, and it's a good bike to battle with.
And talking about battling, we've seen some great battles all year between you and Ethan Sparks. What do you think it is across the season that he's just had a slight upper hand on? Is it maybe consistency, or is it just tracks that suited him?
Maybe it's just tracks, because I'm a bit bigger and it helps me go around the corners, and he is a lot lighter, so it helps him for a lot of tracks, and each track is just better for one of us. So
well, good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
I'm just going to keep going. Tyler Hartley just standing over here. Tyler, how are you feeling going into this weekend?
Really good. The track's really technical, and that's how I like tracks.
So do you think it's a track that's going to suit you and that you're going to have a lot of fun on?
Yes.
And how would you say your seasons went so far this year on the Mini Moto?
Quite good. I've had a few crashes, but good.
And do you have any aims for the rest of the season and this weekend?
My aim's to get a third place, and this season is to get top 5. Oh no.
And where do you currently stand in championship, do you know?
I think I'm 9th.
So pretty big ambitions for the rest of the season, just getting some points in the bags.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, and hopefully conditions stay good for you.
Thanks.
So there's quite a few riders about right now, so let's talk to this young chap right here. Why don't you tell everyone what your name is and what class you're racing? And what class is that?
10 mil.
So how have you felt like your seasons went so far this year?
Okay.
And what's been the biggest thing you've had to learn on the Mini Moto?
My corner speed.
And what have you done to get your corner speed up? Has it been different lines or different throttle whenever you're going on the throttle?
Different lines.
And has it been fellow competitors or parents that's really helped you understand that?
Yeah.
And how have you found the paddock here at FAB with all your friends? Is it something that you really enjoy going to at the weekends?
Yeah, I do.
And well, good luck for the rest of the season. We wish you all the best.
Okay.
So a few more riders about over here. So how are you?
Good, thank you.
And why don't you tell everyone what your name is and what class you're racing?
I'm Archie Hooper and I race in the Rookies.
So Archie, how have you found racing the Rookies? 'Cause it's such a big field this year.
Yeah, there's been a lot of new riders, competition, and yeah.
Sarah. And how have you found this track so far here at Rowrah?
It's a nice track and you can get some speed around it, so it's fun.
And what's your aim for the rest of the season this weekend?
I'd like to get a podium and get some points in the championship.
So we're here at round 7. Is it just getting them championship points, or are you still going 100% trying to get the best position?
100% and trying to have fun.
Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. I hope you have fun, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're here with Sarah Harris, a part of the M4 race school. Sarah, how are you, first of all?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
And well, it's been a great thing you've done, taking the kids out on track walks. Why don't you tell everyone what exactly it is that your race school offers for these young riders?
We start them at home from 4 and bring them through 4 rising 5. They start here at 5.5. Roger's allowed them at 5.5 now to start racing. It just gives them an environment. We spend all winter with the little ones, building them through. We've got them at various stages. Bringing them here, we've got a race team that we're now running over here. We'll have 4 riders in there. We have so those who are in the team, Archie was one of them. We have several riders outside of the team, so we give them support from home, that we bring the support to the race meetings with the track walks. They do a lot of track maps, so they do a lot of school work, so they work on their maps. We hire in rider coaches. I have Luca Allen, Fraser Rogers comes, Charlie Nesbitt, so we work with good BSB riders to develop these young kids.
And with your experience working with these younger riders now, what's been the biggest thing that you've learnt yourself from these younger riders?
I don't know really. I worked with adults for years, and it's interesting. Teaching kids is very, very different, and a lot of it from the very young ones is actually, I've just been talking to a little boy just now who doesn't understand what the word exit means. So the way you speak to them is very different to how you would train an adult. If you say to someone on the exit of the corner when they're 6 years old, and they look at you, they don't understand what exit means. So it's actually the way, I've learned a lot of the way that you actually communicate with younger riders, because they obviously communicate very differently to, I've got riders in stock 600 etc, and they talk very differently to these guys. So that's been a big learning curve, is actually learning to communicate with little people.
And if anyone watching at home wants to get their kid involved, how would you recommend reaching out, maybe to FAB or yourself?
Either or, you can speak to FAB. They'll contact us direct. You can contact us directly. We're on Facebook. Obviously the usual channels. But yeah, you can either ring myself, Ian in the shop, or Robert, and they'll put you in touch with us.
And what's been the biggest challenge that you faced so far with this race school and working with these younger riders?
I did have one little boy who's here this weekend in the pros, and I spent 2 years running with him. He's actually really quite fast, but I have had to run.
Well, good luck, and hopefully the riders keep coming through, because it's great seeing younger British talent coming through the ranks, because it's clearly starting to work now with a lot of riders getting to the British Talent Cup.
Yeah, I've got several in the Talent Cup that are mine. Johnny Garness is one of mine. O'Gorman's one of mine. I've got stock 600 riders all the way through, and they've all come through us. I mean, initially we've had Scott Redding come through us, not through my actual race school, but through the system.
Yeah, and just talking about British Talent Cup riders, your daughter Holly Harris is of course racing on that. How have you felt like that season's went so far?
Wow. Not what she'd have wanted. It's not what she'd have wanted. She was faster last year. Don't really understand what's going on, if I'm honest, but she's enjoying it, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that is the main thing. So what do you think maybe you have to work on with Holly, or is it more the setup of the bike that really has to be worked on and understood a bit more?
It's confidence, self-confidence. And with a lot of the young riders, it's self-belief. It's having that belief in themselves that they can do it. The talent is there, they have to believe that they can do it. And this year with Holly, she's just taken a dip in self-belief, but she'll be back next year, she'll be stronger.
And talking about next year, is there any plans set in stone for yourself in the race school and for the likes of Holly and Fraser Rogers?
Fraser, God knows. We don't know. If someone comes along with a lot of money, Fraser might ride, but at the moment that's a money problem. Holly, we're not sure at the moment. She will be in the paddock. She will either be in the Talent Cup or whether we choose to go to Junior Supersport, we haven't decided. I've also got Luca, who's going to ride a GP2 next year, so we've got him we're looking after, and as well as running the academy. So the race school will continue. We're hoping to run a 6-rider team next year, so we're going to change it slightly to what we're doing this year. So we're going to have more permanent riders rather than ones dipping in and out. So we kind of try and I think it's been a success, the little race team we've had. The kids have improved for being in that environment, so we're going to go with that. We're going to go with 6 riders, and we still do Tuesday nights. Every Tuesday night I teach the ones who are struggling, so we take the very young or the ones that are struggling every Tuesday night. Sunday race school will carry on as of the last round of BSB. After that we're every Sunday ready to go to Spain next year, and away we go again.
Well, good luck for that. And quickly, finally, you mentioned Luca Allen there on the GP2. Why don't you update us on his injury and his leg operation he got earlier on in the season?
Luca? He can come and update you himself.
Yeah, Luca Allen just actually over there, so
Luca?
we're just waiting for him to come over to get a little update on his condition, because it was quite a nasty break that he had to get operated on. So Luca Allen should have been on the 600 this year, but sadly didn't work out. So look at Alan, earlier on in the season, of course, you had quite a nasty injury to your leg. Why don't you tell us exactly what happened?
Yeah, I was out in Texas training at Colin Edwards' and I came into contact with another rider and came over the front, having my leg locked straight, and it just kind of snapped backwards. So I ripped my ACL, MCL and lateral ligaments, so I had to have surgery for them, wait for the surgery for 3 months, and now it's a 6-month recovery. So I got a bit of weight.
And why don't you tell us what that recovery has been like, not being able to ride motorbikes?
It's been a bit, I don't know, it's been a bit frustrating, obviously, but obviously being around the paddock with Holly and everyone else, I think that's kind of made it a bit easier. Still staying in the paddock, but it's been a bit of a nightmare, really.
And how's your leg now? How are you feeling on riding the motorcycles? Do you feel like you're ready and got that strength back in it?
Yeah, I rode at Kinsham the other week, and that didn't go too badly. I felt pretty on pace, but it's just the problem at the minute of we don't know how it will cope in a crash or anything like that, which is why I'm not riding here this weekend, but we'll get properly back at it soon.
Yeah, and Sarah just mentioned there you're going to be on a GP2 next year. How are you feeling towards that and getting a completely different experience than a Grand Prix machinery?
Yeah, that should be good. It'll be a learning curve because obviously I'm not used to riding anything so stiff, but it'll be good for sure, yeah. Big learning curve.
And how have you found working with Sarah in the race school this year here at FAB?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been good to see all the different riders just progress and see how all of them just take things on differently in different ways. You have to speak to some of them different. It's really cool, yeah.
Well, we wish you luck for your recovery and for next year, where hopefully we'll see you back in the grid.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
So we're here with Archie O'Brien, who's practicing the Mini GP 70 this weekend and racing in the 50s. Archie, how are you feeling this weekend?
Feeling pretty good, you know. Been pretty strong couple meetings, but had a crash last time out, which has been my first crash this season. But we're still in good spirits about the rest of the year.
And why don't you tell everyone about that crash at Clandell? What exactly happened?
Well, it was kind of a bit too much power, too much lean angle, and then I ended up in the air.
And so is this weekend just staying on the bike, getting that free finishes, or is it still just trying to get that race win?
Yeah, we're going to try get that inaugural win this weekend. Still going to keep pushing, because although Luke's got a massive gap in the championship, it's still not over.
Yeah, it's not over till it's over. Anything can happen, and we've seen that with Marco Holt, who has broken his leg after a crash in Moto4. Does that slightly change your approach this weekend?
Not at all.
And last round at Clandell, we've seen your starts are slightly better, and you're starting to get off the line a far better. So what is it that you've exactly changed with getting your bike off the line?
We've just been doing quite a bit of practice, and we've changed the start of style to hopefully bring the revs up a bit more and get you off the line faster.
And what's your aim for this weekend? We're here at Rowrah, it's round 7. Is this a track that you enjoy?
It's a track I've been to a few times, and it is a nice, lovely track, so we're hoping for some good weather and some good racing.
And of course, the bike behind you right now is the Mini GP 50. We've seen you practice in the Mini GP 70 on the Fridays for a couple of rounds now. What's been the biggest thing that you've had to learn jumping onto the 70?
It's definitely the torque off the corners, because it's a lot more powerful low down, because when you get high up in the revs they're kind of similar, but it's the low down torque that you need to be careful of on the 70s.
And do you have to change your riding style up at all between the two bikes? Is there anything you have to change in yourself for them?
On the 50 you come into the corners a lot faster and harder, just because it's more about entry, because it's not got as much power, whereas the 70 you need to come in at a reasonable pace and then get out well as well.
And finally, it's the end of the season almost. Next year, is there any plans yet? Are you maybe going to be racing the 70 next year, racing the 50, or maybe even both?
Yeah, the plan is to do both next year and hopefully maybe fight for the title in the 50s and hopefully bring in some top sixes in the 70s.
And just a couple more things. Tactics for this weekend, as I've already mentioned, it's the second last round of the season. So your tactics heading into, is it maybe just getting them points on the board, or is it still just getting 110% for that win and maybe risking a mistake like you had at Clandau?
Well, I did try 110% at Landau and it didn't go well, so we're just going to try 100% to get that win.
So 100% potentially risking a crash?
Well, you'll high risk, high reward.
Exactly, I like your thinking, Archie. Good luck for this weekend. Hopefully it all goes well, and hopefully we can see you on the top step of that podium.
Thank you.
So we're here with Taylor Lawrence on his farewell tour here at FAB. Taylor, going into the weekend, your final weekend after many years, how are you feeling?
Well, just to me, I don't think it hit me properly till about Sunday. At the minute, it just feels like a normal race weekend, to be fair. Just having a laugh with my mates, having fun, just treat it like every other race weekend and don't get too emotional about it. We'll just keep moving forward.
And we believe there may be something planned for you later on in the weekend. How are you feeling towards that? Maybe a bit more emotion towards then?
Well, a bit more emotion, maybe a few surprises along the weekend from me and my mates, but we'll see what happens. Don't want to give too much away yet.
And talking about your mates, Rossi Banham isn't here this weekend. How are you feeling about that after such a great battle all year and such great camaraderie off the track?
I'm absolutely gutted. And I told him that. I was just talking to him a few minutes ago, seeing if he was still coming up, but he can't make it. But he was good. We said our goodbyes at Landau, but it's nice. I've got people to battle with here anyway, but Rossi, me and him, Rossi have always been there or thereabouts with Lucas Brown and Reese. So just to lose an extra person in the front battle is a bit of a shame, really.
And do you slightly change your approach? Because you mentioned earlier on that you're just treating it right now like every other race weekend. Is that same mindset going into the races, still full attack mode?
Oh yeah, full attack. I need to at least have one win this weekend before we go.
And talking about your season in general so far, how do you feel like it's went 2022?
A bit like Iannone, to be honest. I'm quick when I want to be, but I can't stay on the bike.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few tumbles at Clandau. Why don't you tell us exactly what happened there?
I would tell you if I knew, but I don't know. It's just Lawrence chicane caught me out a bit there, I guess. Just a bit too tight in, hit a bit of a bump and just lost it, and then got back from 11th to 2nd, and then had a bit of a run in with a back marker and came off again. But it was 6 crashes that weekend, so not too bad. Only 6.
Just 6 crashes, and good media coverage for you getting them 6 crashes, and with your bright green levers that you've been wearing all season. You couldn't have picked brighter colours.
I couldn't have picked bright. Well, they look darker in the picture, to be fair to me, but they're nice. They let me be seen a bit easier, let you know where I am on track, and alert people when I'm coming for a move.
And looking back on all your years at FAB, what has been your favourite class to race on, your favourite bike that you've raced on?
The pit bikes. Not only because of the championship, because pit bikes are more of a close packed together grid and everyone's more equal in a way. I'm not saying anyone's cheating in these classes, but we're all adults, we're all way near enough about the same, we all have the same machinery, we all got the same bikes, so it's more fair. My 70s, I did enjoy 70s as well, because they're just fun bikes to ride in general, but pit bikes, and it's just a closer community, I feel, between us lot.
And what's been the biggest thing that FAB has taught you in maybe outside of racing or just racing in general?
No matter how many years you've been doing it, if you come to this track 6 times or 2 times, there's always something you can learn for the next time, because you never do the same each year. It's always different. You can always go quicker.
And talking about tracks, we're here at Clandau. Is it a track that you enjoy?
I enjoy Rowrah. It's a lovely track. Got a mixture of got a mixture of hairpins, got a mixture of chicanes, got fast flowing corners, a few stopping corners, so it's got a mixture of everything that a lot of tracks just are known for. One section, this is a good track in general.
And well, you're missing the final round of the championship at Red Lodge. I believe it is a track that you enjoy yourself. How are you feeling having to miss that final round?
Missing my favourite track is gutting, but like I said, got to move on, got a big career ahead of me, been around Red Lodge enough, and I get time off, I can always go back down to Red Lodge when I got time. Might start doing some track days as well on the R6, see where that leads me, but yeah, not a bit upset, but not too much.
And finally, plans for the future. Maybe we'll see you on a race bike again at a racetrack, maybe here at FAB or in a bigger championship in British Superbike Championship potentially.
Potentially could be Thundersport, Bemsey or BSB in the future, but I'm not too sure about it yet, just focusing on getting in the forces first, but there could be a position there for me.
Well, good luck in the Navy and good luck in the rest of your career outside of racing. And I do have to say, cracking sunglasses that you're wearing this weekend.
Got to rock the Top Gun Maverick look, you're going in the Navy, you got to have all the looks. Beautiful. Me and Elliot Crosby, my Iceman, will be here later on, so you'll see us walking around with our aviators on.
Well, good luck, and as I mentioned, good luck outside of racing. We really wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you back here at FAB at some point.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So we're here with the championship leader of the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, Ethan Sparks. Ethan, how are you feeling first of all?
I'm quite well actually, because I've got high hopes here, as I've got my first ever win here in the Rookies back in 2017, and I don't have much pressure as the lead in the championship is quite high.
Yeah, you mentioned the lead in the championship. It's 139 points at the moment. Are you nervous heading into the weekend?
Not really, because even if I don't win the championship in the first race, I can always win it in the second race. And if it's dry tomorrow, there's a high chance that I can finish in the top 5 to win the championship.
And with the chance of winning the championship, do you approach the weekend slightly differently, or is it still just going to be going flat out and doing what you do best?
Well, I hopefully need to stay on, and then I've approached it with no pressure on me, and if I stay on, then I just need to stay on and finish in the top 5, but I will aim for the win.
And if you win the championship this weekend, or this year in general, you're going to be the first ever Mini GP70 two-time British champion. How does that make you feel?
It's a big achievement, as the FAB's been going on for a long time, and if I'm the first ever person to win it 2 times, it gets my name out there.
Yeah, it certainly will. And you mentioned earlier, this is the track that you got your first ever win in Rookies. What do you think it is that suits you as a circuit? What do you think it is as a rider that you enjoy about it?
The hairpins I'm quite good into, as I'm normally good on the brakes, but it's basically, when I first came here, I just like the track, so yeah.
And if you win the championship, will we still see you at Red Lodge for the final round and for a final play about?
Yeah, I'll be coming to Red Lodge, because if I don't, it's like I don't really need to turn up, but I'll still turn up just to show respect, basically.
Yeah, certainly a good attitude to have, and that is going 100% attack mode. So what has been the thing that you've learnt most this season? Because obviously you're an experienced rider, you've already won the championship in the Mini GP70, so what is it that you've learnt this year?
I've learnt a lot, as I've had some good battles over the year with Henry, Marco, but I've learned a lot of things, as from my past times I've got from Landau I got into the 46s, which was a lot quicker.
And and Ethan, what would you say has been the thing that you've learnt most from working with Vision Track this year?
A lot of things from Chaz Mortimer, with suspension, gearing, everything else like that. So it's helped me a lot through the years. Mainly how my riding style and how I ride the bike.
And Ethan, you've raced in more than one championship this year. What would you say to the people at home that is maybe deciding what championship to come and race in and get their kid involved in?
If you're a good rider, if you're experienced, come into the Rookies for a few years just to see where you're at the moment, and then if you're doing quite well, eventually move up into the pros.
So would you say yourself that FAB is a championship to be in at the moment for young riders?
FAB's really well. It's brought me on as a rider, and it's got me all the way here where I am now, just from the rookies in 2017, and the competitiveness is really high.
And talking about competitiveness and your team, what has it been like having a teammate this year in the Mini GP 70s with Ronnie Harris? Does it slightly change your approach? Do you work together with him off track, or is it much secrets within the garage and trying not to let too much out to your rivals?
Well, me and Ronnie are good friends, so we help each other a lot, and he helps me with things, I help him with things, and hopefully we can be 1 and 2 in this year's championship.
Well, good luck for this weekend. Hopefully we can see you once again stand on that top step of the podium and stand on the top step of the championship standards.
Yeah, hopefully I can win it this round.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're here in the back of the paddock now, and Lucas Brown, British Talent Cup rider. Lucas, how are you feeling heading into this weekend?
Quite good. It's a bit of practice, so it'll be fun.
And how are you finding the track here at Rowrah?
Yeah, it's a good track. It's a little bit slippery because of the cool temperatures, but yeah, it's not too bad.
And you've been racing in the British Talent Cup this year. How have you felt like your season's went?
Season's gone really good. We've missed out a little bit on the podium. We got a top 5 last round, which is good. But yeah, we've been consistently in the top 10, so yeah.
And would you say racing here at FAB helps you at all to prepare for a British Talent Cup round? Maybe just getting a bit more bike time, getting your head up to speed?
I guess it's a bit more fitness on the bike, like more bike fitness, but apart from that, it's just a little bit of fun, really.
And it's a little bit of fun, so have you got any aims going into this weekend, or aims for this season, or is it just go out there and have the best time as possible with your mates?
It's just, to be fair, just go out there and have fun. And I have a good battle with Taylor, Reese and Rossi, and sometimes Chris. But yeah, it's pretty just fun.
And has there been any standout moments this year, maybe a standout track here at FAB that you've enjoyed?
I've had a few moments that I haven't enjoyed, but probably that when I won at Lid, that was quite good.
And the British Talent Cup, a couple of rounds left in that as well. How are you setting your hopes for that this season? Are you just looking at championship points, or is it still trying to get on the podium roster, and maybe even a race win?
Well, I think I'm 7th in the championship at the moment, and I'm about 20 points off 3rd or 5th. So if I can get 5th in the championship, that'd be a really good end to the season.
And how have you found racing the pit bike style machines in the wet conditions here at FAB?
I think I've only done about 1 race in it, and I crashed, so not been too great.
And finally, next year, have you got anything in place yet? Is it British Talent Cup again, British Championship of some sort?
I think I'm going to be doing British Talent Cup again.
Well, good luck for that. We hope to see you on the grid, and it's great seeing so many FAB riders coming through the ranks.
Yeah, cheers.
So we're going to speak to a couple more pit bike riders that's going to ambush some of them that's relaxing after some practice sessions. So Jamie King, how are you feeling going into this weekend, first of all?
Not too bad. Caught me unawares. Yeah, it's not been too bad so far this morning. We're not far off my PB so far, so yeah, it's going well. We've changed tyres. It's a bit chilly this weekend. The weather has dropped in temperature a bit, but it's going well so far, just building every session at the moment.
And will you be racing the moto team bike this weekend? Because obviously you're leading the championship and looking quite good on it.
Yeah, we could wrap up the championship this weekend if things all go well. So yeah, hopefully me and Sean will be sharing that. We haven't decided who's doing what races yet, but we've been out on it a few times today. It's gone well. So yeah, hopefully wrap the championship up this weekend.
And you've been a busy man lately. I've seen, I believe it was at Donington Park, you were on a R6. How did that go for you? Something a bit bigger than these pit bikes.
Snetterton it was, but yeah, it was mega to be back on a proper size bike. Took me a while to get used to it, doing a bike that does over 65 miles an hour. But yeah, it was mega fun. Probably ain't going to make a comeback doing it though, because I can't afford it, and I don't think I was good enough.
So no plans next year to race any bigger bikes then?
Nah, we'll be back with a pit bike on the CW next year, and probably back on the moto team as well.
So aims for next year, you'll be on the CW again, as you just said, in the pit bikes. Is it no retirement, coming back stronger, maybe even fighting for another championship in the pit bikes?
Yeah, hopefully, after we've had kind of like this half a season learning on the CW, hopefully next season we can go full pelt and hopefully be back up the sharp end fighting for some championships.
And this year, it's been quite an up and down year for you, especially on the pit bikes. What's been the standout moment that you've enjoyed from this year in 2022 Fab?
Probably Landau last round. Bit gutted to miss out on the podium on the last corner in race 2, but hopefully we can get back on the podium this weekend. It'd be really good if we can. So yeah, Landau last weekend was a good one.
And looking towards Red Lodge, the final round of the championship, how are you feeling towards that? Is it a track that you enjoy at Red Lodge, or is it maybe one that you struggle with?
I don't mind. Red Lodge is going to be, what was it, first week in October, so there's a good chance it's going to be a bit cold and wet. But I enjoy doing left-handers because it's the only track we go to which goes the other way round. So hopefully we can get some good results there, but it depends on the weather.
And finally, aim for this weekend in the pit bikes especially. Is it get them race wins, get on that podium position again, or is it just getting up your lap times and getting the feeling on the CW bike?
Yes, it's going to be good to see if we can beat my personal best round here, but we're aiming for podiums this weekend. So yeah, if we can get back on the podium, that'd be mega.
And one final thing, will we see a return of the blue hair at the final round or at all next year?
I need to get this cut because the black's coming back through now. So yeah, maybe we'll have some blue back for the last round at Red Lodge.
Well, thanks so much. Good luck this weekend and good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So we're here with Dylan Miller racing for the first time out in a while actually here at Fab. Dylan, how are you finding it being back here at FAB-Racing?
It's fun, especially on the pit bikes. I mean, I'm having some bike problems at the moment as my brakes weren't doing very well, but I've just got it sorted and hopefully I should do better in my next session.
And since then you've been racing at BMC down south, racing at all national circuits pretty much across the country. How are you finding that?
It's fun. It's better on the bigger tracks, I think. It's easier to as in the car tracks have it's closer in. But apart from that, yeah, it's quite good.
And your brother Owen is also racing this weekend. Is there some friendly brother competition?
Yeah, we are usually quite close on the pit bikes. I always like to have a good battle with them, and it's just fun.
Yeah, so is your aim this weekend just to have fun and enjoy it?
Yeah, and just some practice.
And finally, next year, what's your plans? Could we see maybe in the British Superbike paddock, or is it at BMC once again?
BMC once again, but on the 600 this time.
So your brother Owen, who's just heading out now, is also on the 600 this year. Will he be together on pretty much the same bike?
I think Owen's trying to get on the BSB sort of side of things. I'm just going to start my starting year in BMC and then hopefully move up with them.
Well, Dylan, it's time for you to go out and practice. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello and welcome to round 7 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship, as we are just getting out there as you see some riders encountering problems in the second senior mini moto qualifying session. We are at the most picturesque location of the year here at Rowrah, the Cumbria Kart Circuit, and you join myself, Ross McIntyre, and alongside me as always, Lewis Reyes. We bring you all the action from what could be a potentially very important weekend of racing. Lewis, how are you feeling looking forward into this one?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this round here at Rowrah. Round 7, the championship is starting to close in, and even this weekend, championships can be decided, so it's going to be a weekend full of high adrenaline, high intense racing, and high risks with high rewards.
Absolutely, and one championship that likely won't be decided actually this weekend. There's a fair few that could, but the Senior Mini Motos championship leader Will Howarth no show this weekend. So the Josh Birkin and Matt Birkin, they're going to be trying to maximise their points to give themselves the best chance as they head into the final round at Red Lodge. But as you said, Lewis, a lot of championships with the potential to be wrapped up here at Rowrah. And although the sun has gone away, it's been a pretty decent weekend's worth of weather so far. And it is, well, nonetheless, even if the sun has gone away, it is absolutely gorgeous at this place in an old quarry in the Lake District. You won't find a better view anywhere else in the country in terms of racetracks. And on the subject of the track, it's also absolutely fantastic. Super undulating, super technical, lots of fast corners, and it's just a real challenge for the riders, but many of them just absolutely love it. I mean, you were talking to Philip Saraviya yesterday, and he was saying, this is his favourite track, and again, he's one of the riders who can win the championship this weekend, and it is just, it's so much fun to come and watch Fab Racing here. The riders love it, we love it. I'm sure it's going to be a brilliant weekend's racing.
Yeah, the track's just beautiful. There's no other way to really put it. It's in the perfect place. It's got hills around it. It's just everything about the circuit and around the circuit is what the riders enjoy. The track looks great, the surface is great, and it's got a corner pretty much for everyone. It's got fast corners, hairpin, chicanes, plenty of runoff for these senior mini-moto riders to use, which we know they love doing. So it's going to be a great weekend, full of racing. Although the track seems to be a bit tighter than some other circuits that we go to this year, I'm sure we're still going to see some great racing. This is the qualifying 2 for the senior mini-motos at the moment. Just over 3 minutes left to go for them. Currently Matt Birkin tops the session from Craig Ashall and Nick Bennett. So it's been a busy weekend already for these guys. Of course, practicing yesterday and had qualifying 1 and 2 today before we get in with one race. So today's going to be full of action for these guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, temperature not too high out there. The wind's also up as you'd expect here in the Old Quarry as well. So difficult conditions, lap times perhaps not being at their absolute fastest. That being said, Josh Perkin there with the fastest lap of 56.441. Pretty fast to say the least. And it's Birkin from Birkin up the front, and that is exactly what those two want coming into this weekend. Again, championship leader Will Howarth, no show this weekend. If the Birkins, obviously, having sustained that injury last time out in a rather dramatic fashion, actually slightly breaking his back, and of course we're hoping that Will be back for the final round to try and fight for his championship the way he intends to. If both the Birkins have a disaster and don't get any points whatsoever in all 3 races, then Howarth will be crowned champion. But this is the perfect opportunity. 75 points is the magic number. That is the amount of points that you need to have over your rivals at the end of this weekend to take the championship around early. Currently Will Howarth has a little over 100 ahead of Josh and Matt, but this is an absolutely prime opportunity for them to cut away to it and bring it down to a very, very tense championship decider at Red Lodge.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire, I think, in the senior mini-motos. Although the Birkins, well, they're known for making some mistakes and pushing maybe too hard sometimes. They may just use their heads and put their championship heads on, because if they can, this will go down to the wire. It's going to be a dramatic finish to the season. But on your screen there, Holly Harris had a pretty good season so far. Maybe not the end results that she wanted, but she's been consistently at the front with fast lap times, and she's always been up there battling with other guys. Of course, one of our female riders here at FAB, part of the M4 race school. We were speaking to her mum, actually, Sarah Harris, earlier, as you heard, and that race school's been doing a great job to help develop these younger riders.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's part of the beauty of FAB Racing. It's not just for these older guys on the senior mini-motos. Of course, you can get started in FAB Racing as young as 6 or 5.5 in some special occasions. It really is the place to be in the UK for young riders to, start their fledgling motorcycle career. And, if you're new to FAB Racing and this is your first time watching along, well, hello and welcome. Of course, FAB Racing being around since 2004 and is the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship and part of the Dorna Road to Moto GP programme. And of course, it's widely recognised as the gateway into the Honda British Talent Cup. And since 2019, over 60% of the Talent Cup field has come from FAB Racing, which is an absolutely fantastic statistic. We've had so many great riders, not just in the UK motorsport, but international motorsports, making their starts here at FAB Racing. You're looking at Scott Redding, Scott Ogden, Danny Kent over in MotoGP. We've had riders in WSBK, of course, riders in BSB as well. We've got riders off in Red Bull Rookies Cup this year as well, and European Talent Cup. So there is so much talent that has come out of FAB, and it really is the place to come. But of course, you've got these senior guys out there as well, and that is what's so great, because it's the place for these young riders to come to develop their skills, to learn the craft of motorsports. But it's also a place for some of the older riders to come, just to come along, have a weekend of fun, but also put on some great racing. Yeah, it's got a class for everyone, and that's the only best way to really put it. I mean, these guys, although these bikes look like they're not designed for the older riders, they managed to make it work and they managed to go fast. But these guys and girls,
they have plenty of fun on these bikes. Although they're not the fastest, they just go out there, have fun with their mates, maybe a few beers at night, and come back and enjoy it. And we've seen some very talented riders even return to this series. The likes of AC O'Brien came back at the start of the season, obviously away to Red Bull Rookies and Junior GP this year, so he has a busy year ahead of him, but I'm sure we'll see him return once again. And almost a lot of the BSB field as well also is raced at FAB, at least the likes of Rory Skinner, Kyle Ride, Bradley Ray. They've all raced at FAB at some point in their careers, so it's just showing its work. And then we're seeing, as years go on, even more riders coming through with the great coverage that FAB gets. It managed to get these new riders in, and if you're sitting there at home thinking I want to get involved in this, head over to the FAB-Racing website or get in contact with FAB-Racing. I'm sure they'll be happy to help and guide you through the process to get your racing career started.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, some of the most cost-friendly and best racing you can get your hands on. So, I mean, if you want to come and have a go, please do come and have a go. But you can come and watch a race as well. It's just come and watch some brilliant racing action throughout all the classes. As that brings an end to the Senior Mini Motos qualifying. 2 more qualifying sessions left to run. We've got the Mini F1 sidecars, they'll be heading out shortly, and then the Pit Bike 140s, and then we'll get on to our race ones. Of course, 3 races this weekend. We've got the first of them this afternoon, and then we've got race 2s and race 3s to look forward to all throughout Sunday. And again, this could be a very, very important weekend for a fair amount of people. Championships on the line here at round 7 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. Hello and welcome if you are just joining us to the Cumbria Kart Racing Club here, Rowrah. One of the, I think it's just objectively one of the best tracks on the calendar, to be honest. It is absolutely brilliant. It is so gorgeous as well, and it's just a place that provides so much action as the Mini F1 sidecars head out for their second qualifying session. And there we see the man to beat this season, although perhaps not as much as he'd have liked, Mick Williams. Obviously he had his winning streak come to an end. It was a 3-4 year winning streak, I think it was. Every single race or something like that came to an end this year, but he's still got a pretty healthy advantage. Again, he's one of the that number 26 squad there, one of the ones that can wrap up the championship this weekend. 75 points, again, the magic number that you need over your rivals, and they'll be looking for a strong performance here today. Yeah, they certainly will, and all they have to do is just finish in front of the green streets this weekend, and then the championship is theirs once again. But the green streets, they are not going to give up. They are trying. I've seen it through the whole practice sessions and all the qualifyings that they're just absolutely on it. They're staying out there actually longer than anyone else. Quite a few times these sidecar guys in the sessions, they kind of go into the pit lane, have a little rest, and maybe check a few things with the bike before they head back out, and it can be quite close on fuel. But the green streets, they stay out there pretty much the whole session, just get as much track time as possible, because they know that they need to find everything to get to Mick Williams, who right now has just went top with a 102.223. So early lap so far for the Mini F1 sidecar guys, but as the session goes on, they will be getting faster, building up their speed for that one lap, that lap that they really need to qualify a good position. Because if you think about it, in qualifying, it's really just getting that one position, because here at FAB, your qualifying position, it's the same for all 3 races, so it's so much emphasis on this one lap and getting everything perfect, which is near impossible to get a perfect lap here in FAB and in racing in general. Yeah, it is tough, of course, and as you said, it takes a while for these sidecars to get up to pace. It's a bit of a fine art. You've really got to wait for the sidecar to come to you across the course of the session, as Mick Williams currently 2 seconds up on anybody else. But the green streets, again, they usually set their best laps very, very late on. Mick Williams is often quick out the gate. The green streets like to build up. They like to let the lap just sort of get some track time in, get a feel for the bike and the track, and then they just start to slowly push. Unfortunately, no Keats here this weekend. The Keats squad, the number 666 machine that we're so used to seeing up on 2 wheels, they're a no-show this weekend, and we hope that he gets well soon. So only 6 sidecars here this weekend, but trust me, at Rowrah, that is more than enough, because it is neck-and-neck action from these guys, and it is tough out there as well. It's very, very physical for these guys, especially around this circuit. I mean, coming up through the first corner, you can't really see it on camera. It is like a cliff. It is super steep. Turn 2 and 3 are actually blind when you're coming up turn 1 as well, and it's fast, it's tight, it's a really tricky track. And throughout the rest of the track as well, there's uphill, there's downhill, there's camber through the corners, you've got to take the curbs as well, because the curbs are actually really grippy at this track, so you have to run the curbs if you want to be fast. So it is really tough, and especially for these sidecar guys, when you've really got to hustle the thing around the track. So they're putting a lot of effort in. It's clear to see the Green Streets, the pace starting to come with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Still 2 minutes left on, or 2 minutes, 2 seconds left to do on Mick Williams. They've still got a bit of a gap, but again, the Green Streets, it takes a while for the bike to come to them in qualifying. They like to push at the end.
Yeah, they certainly do. They just like to get their heads in the game for that one lap shootout. It's so impressive to see sidecars on their limit, but they're just twitching about every single corner on their edge of grip, and it's so impressive just to see these guys even on track with them, because they're so small. And you mentioned physical as there actually, Mick Williams goes into the pit lane. So as I was saying, quite a few sidecar guys do like to go into the pits, take a little breather, check the bike before they head back out. But the Green Streets take a slightly different approach. But it's fitting onto these sidecars, it's physical enough for them. They're so tall that even just squeezing onto the sidecar and getting round the corners is difficult enough. But the Green Streets right now pushing on, they're just 1.7 seconds off, but I'm sure towards the end of the session, with just 3 minutes left of the session, they will start to push and they will start to get the hammer down and get that lap time down, as Chris Impey now goes up to third place on the 4.57 machine.
Absolutely, the Green Street's pushing around. Jason behind the handlebars and Leo on the passenger seat. And now should be the time then. They are 1.7 seconds off as of the last time at the line, with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. This is usually when the lap times start to tumble for the Green Streets as the bike gets warmed up. Let's follow them round for a lap, shall we? As we come to the line now, do they improve that time? Yes, they do. That one chopping almost a second off as they head through and up through the blind second and third turn. So the Green Streets, the pace now starting to come as Mick Williams heads back out onto the track. It's once again a battle for pole position between the 26 and the number 90, with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go now up the hill into this tight right-hand hairpin. Very tricky for these sidecars. You've got to take a surprisingly early apex because it's wide on the exit, and now down the hill we go. Once again, this track, it's either uphill or downhill. There's no piece of flat land to be seen down to the bottom end of the circuit. Super fast right-hander, bit of a twitch on the rear of the sidecar before they come into this fast right-left, and again, slightly uphill and now downhill. Now the trickiest corner on the circuit, this right-hander, you've just got to throw the thing in and hope it sticks, because there's not a lot of runoff if you get it wrong. And coming into the final corner now, this big 180-degree right-hand sweeper apex very early. Don't run the bike all the way out. Try those middle lines. What's the gap going to be? Oh, unfortunately that time they don't actually improve, but it is close. They are on the tail of the 26. The Green Streets, I think, are coming, and they've got time for another lap or two as well.
Yeah, you can just see now they're just building themselves up, because earlier on in the session they weren't using the curbs, and now they are. This is where they start to get their finger out really, and 0.2 of a second off their best time they were last time round. But this circuit, not only is it up and down, but all the straights are not really straight. It's such a tricky circuit. You don't get a rest the whole lap, which makes this racing and this weekend so impressive, because these guys in the sidecars are going to have 7 laps, which doesn't sound like a lot, but around this Cumbrian circuit it's going to be so tricky. But 48 seconds left. They should be able to get another lap from this. Will they be able to improve their lap time this time around, or are they leaving it for one final shootout? They come around the final corner now, power it out towards the line. What's the gap going to be? Will they be able to improve? No, they cannot. It's still a bit off, 0.4 off their best lap time, but this is their final chance. 27 seconds to go. Everyone who crosses the line now will be going on to their final lap. The number 90, the Green Streets, family run team, family run riders, and now powering the way out the hairpin to another hairpin. It's so tricky. Hard on the brakes, early apex, and then shoot it out once again. These guys have a 4-stroke engine inside of their sidecar compared to Mick Williams, who has a 2-stroke, but Mick Williams still on top with a 1 minute 0.273. 1 second ahead of Green Streaks, but Williams is back on form and he's back trying to show everyone up and showing everyone what he can do. But what can the Green Streaks do this time round? Last lap in qualifying, checker flag is now waving on the start-finish straight. They're in the final sector now, just one more corner to go. They'll go past the pit entry towards this final long sweeping right-hander and power it out, get the bike shooting out the corner, all the power to the ground, and they cannot improve once again. But once again, it's been McWilliams who should get pole position unless if another sidecar gets a blinder of a lap time.
Yeah, McWilliams back on form. The 26 looks like it's going to be going from pole for all 3 races in the Mini F1 sidecars, and that is crucial on what could be a championship weekend. And the Green Streets, well, they're going to have to get some very, very strong results if they want to take this to the final round at Red Lodge. It was a good effort from the Green Streets. I think almost just pushing a bit too hard early on. I think the tyres just started to go a little bit as the lap time started to drop towards the end of the session. Of course, the Mini F1 sidecars will be back out to showcase their racing prowess a little bit later on, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that. But now we have just one more qualifying session left to go before we get racing, and it is the Pit Bike 140s. And that man in green, Taylor Lawrence, I've got a bone to pick with him because, well, it's a bit of a story. I have to apologise, I must admit, because last time out at Clandau, if you were tuning in, I'm sure you'll very much remember that we were making a big deal about how Taylor Lawrence, this was his final FAB-Racing event before he goes off and joins the Navy. We made such a big deal out of it that we missed the fact that Rossi Banham actually wrapped up the championship at Clandau. Rossi Banham has been absolutely dominant this season. He's not here this weekend, unfortunately, but I'm sure he'll be back at Red Lodge for the championship celebrations. But yeah, we missed the fact that Rossi won the championship at round 6 because we were saying goodbye to Taylor, and he's right there. I've already had a stern word with him. So this is actually his final weekend, but we've got to do it all over again. So I'm not the happiest with Taylor Lawrence, to be honest, but hopefully he can go out and actually give us one final display this time instead of lying to our faces.
Yeah, Taylor Lawrence, in some respects, it's kind of good that it wasn't last round, his final round, because it wasn't the best weekend for him. He had quite a few crashes, 6 crashes in one weekend, which is quite a lot. But this round, he's just hoping mainly just to stay on the bike, and Rossi Banham is not here. The person who cracked Taylor Lawrence and made him crack under that pressure that he was putting on by putting on such high pace, he's not here this round, which Taylor Lawrence is not that happy about because they're best mates off track. He really wanted him to be here for his final outing here at FAB. But now these guys are heading out on their final qualifying session.
Out they go, the Pit Bike 140s, and I can tell you these guys absolutely love this track because there is so much runoff essentially that they can use. They can really use the curbs because the curbs have so much grip, it's almost scary. Actually, the curbs, when it rains here at Rowrah, the curbs actually have more grip than the track does, which is really weird to get your head around. I'm not sure why they're like that, but they are like that. So say of that what you will, but you know, they can really run. They can run onto the grass in some places as well. They absolutely love around here, and they fly around here, and the racing is always super strong indeed. And Taylor Lawrence already getting his knee down out of the pits and absolutely flying into this second qualifying session. And well, again, it wasn't the greatest of round for Taylor at Clandau. He put on a few good performances, but then just got unlucky that first section. Really just catching him out a few times. Basically every accident he had was at the exact same corner. Just not sure if there was a problem with the bike or it was just unsettled through that section. But he's back this time, and I know he likes this circuit. He took a clean sweep here last year, and all 3 race victories on his way to the championship. I'm sure he'll be looking to try and recreate some of those memories of what is his actual final FAB-Racing round last time. Let's pretend that never happened, shall we? Of course, the championship done and dusted. Rossi Banham 154 points ahead of his next opponent, even if he was a no-show for round 8 as well at Red Lodge. It would be it's too far in front, as we see there. Well, we've got a few old names returning to FAB here. We can see Owen Mellor. Well, he's just actually gone into the pits, but yeah, I was about to say a few old names. Owen Mellor, we've got Dylan Mellor out there, his brother as well, and it's great to see them back here at FAB.
Yeah, it's great seeing riders return, and it's great seeing the Mellors back. They're such quick riders. Dylan Mellor now racing in the 300 class at Bempsey, and his brother Owen stepped up to the 600 class at Bempsey, riding the Kawasaki BDS Motorcycles 600 Supersport. So it's great having the Mellors back in this championship, both of them actually being selected for the Red Bull Rookies selection event. Sadly, didn't make the cut through, but it's great seeing so many young riders now getting that opportunity to show themselves for the world stage.
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, we had a few riders actually who either have been through FAB or are FAB regulars make it through to the Red Bull Rookie selection test. Sullivan Mounsey, off the top of my head, made it through to day 3 as well, which was absolutely superb. And of course, in Red Bull Rookies itself, we've got Eddie O'Shea, and we've got Casey O'Gorman as well, who are both doing a superb job this season. Very excited. I presume Casey O'Gorman's going to be around next year in it as well, so I'm very excited to see what he can do. As there we see the man who I'm not happy with, Taylor Lawrence, currently running P2 behind Lucas Brown. As we the traditional front 4 is now the traditional front 3, because Rossi Banham's won the championship and had enough apparently this weekend. So it's just Lucas Brown, Taylor Lawrence and Reese Peacock, your traditional front 3 for this weekend. You can see what I was saying earlier. Look how wide Taylor Lawrence is running out of these corners, because you can just I won't say abuse the track limits, but that's what you can do. I mean, look how much curb. Well, actually, he didn't take that much. He was actually a bit late on the turn in there, but you can really take some super aggressive lines. And there are some points around this lap that these pit bikes are actually running on the grass as they're almost there. You see Lucas Brown taking to it. So it is so much. This is probably one of the best tracks to watch these pit bike guys, because there is so much time they can exploit by just doing pit bike things and going off the road.
Yeah, it's so great to see it. It's so great to see these guys. Of course, these guys are so talented. Lucas Brown, top of the session right now, is riding in the British Talent Cup this year. A lot of these guys riding in the British Talent Cup or other championships on bigger motorcycles, but they come back here to FAB and have a play about on these pit bikes. And these pit bikes are motorcycles that they can really abuse and can really push to their limits, stomp on that back brake, get the rear end out and just throw it into the corners, which is why we see quite a few crashes and quite a few almost silly mistakes from these guys, because they're just here having fun and here to see how far they can push their motorcycles. But of course, at the end of the day, they all want to win, and you can see track limits being questionable once again from Taylor Lawrence, but he has just went fastest with 52.360, 1/10 ahead of Lucas Brown. So the pit bike 140 guys, it's so close. I think it's going to stay like this all weekend in the race, and you can just see Taylor Lawrence and Lucas Brown getting past a few back markers there. But Lucas Brown, he's the perfect person to try and follow around this racetrack, because he was second, well, he was top, and the person following Taylor Lawrence followed him around the lap, and now he's top. So there's not a better person to have as your marker as we come across the line once again. Just 2 minutes left in this session, 2.5 minutes, and Taylor Lawrence goes top once again, because Lucas Brown, for half a tenth maybe, went top, but once again Taylor Lawrence snatches it off of him. 1/10 of a gap, running it out wide, almost to the grass. He's jumping over the curb. Yeah, it's so impressive to see. But Taylor Lawrence on his farewell tour, but I am sure it's going to be a great weekend of racing in his whole class and in all classes here at FAB.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely superb. We've got potential for rain on Sunday as well. Obviously, my weather predicting the last runs hasn't been too great, so take of that what you will. I'll say that much, but the weather app is saying it might rain, so I'm not saying it's going to rain, I'm saying it might rain. There's a possibility. The sun seems like it's gone away for a little while now, but it's still maintaining dry out there at the moment. A little bit cold, a little bit windy, but pretty good racing conditions as we follow the front 2 round. Taylor Lawrence, of course, off to the Navy after this round. 2 weeks until he's off, and I'm sure he's going to try and get the best farewell he possibly can. Obviously, Lewis, you spoke to him the other day, he said he's going to try and come back when he can, if he gets a bit of downtime, maybe do some of this, some other racing maybe, if he gets the opportunity. So of course we'd love to have him back in the future whenever he gets the chance. And of course we wish him all the best in his future endeavours and his future career. So we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for Taylor Lawrence. And what the future holds for him at the moment is he's about to smack into the back of Lucas Brown if they don't clear his back marker. And there's not long left, under a minute to go in this qualifying session. And it's currently Taylor Lawrence a tenth and a bit ahead of Lucas Brown. Those two Reece Peacock not far off them either. They've got one more lap left to do. Let's see if anyone can improve. Owen Miller with a pretty decent lap time as well in P4. Criswell and in P5, those guys are looking pretty competitive. And Jamie King on that new CW motor, which he's been running in the last few events. He said he's aiming for podiums this one, currently in P6, putting himself in a pretty good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, he certainly is. Reece Peacock, third place right now, exactly where he wants to be. Owen Miller in 4th, so which is quite impressive from Owen. Owen obviously racing here at FAB a couple of years back and making his return, but one thing I've learnt about Owen over the past year or so is whenever he goes to a track that either he's never been to or he hasn't been to in a long time, he's able to pick it up straight away and get basically to pushing himself to the limits and pushing the track to its limits and using all the track. Earlier on this season, I believe he was at a little known racetrack in Scotland, East Fortune, and he's never seen that place before. But on the Saturday practice, went out for one practice session and he was straight on the pace in the top 10 on a 600, which is such a competitive class. It's great seeing new riders and old riders come back to FAB. But now the checker flag is out now and Taylor Lawrence is on pole position so far. Lucas Brown still in that second place and Reece Peacock in third. But there's the 112 on your screen, quite a big field. There's Keaton Payne, and there is your pole position man so far, waving to the cameras. He knows exactly what he has to do this weekend, that is get as much exposure as possible for social media. And there's Lucas Brown so jumping over the curb. These two guys, great friends, and Taylor Lawrence, he's delighted with that. He's just enjoying every single second he has on the bike.
Yeah, he said it's probably not going to hit him until Sunday. That this is his final FAB-Racing round, but he's clearly enjoyed himself out there. That lap clearly meant a lot, and we know it's a track that he enjoys. And it will be Taylor Lawrence from pole position, Lucas Brown P2 and Reece Peacock P3, and we see there getting ready to go racing some of the AC40 Pro riders who are the first race of the weekend. And as the pit bikes make their way back to the pit lane, if you're just joining us, hello and welcome to the Cumbria Kart Racing Club. Welcome to the most picturesque track of the season. It is Rowrah. It is round 7 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship, and we are getting ready to go racing here on Saturday with the race ones. And we have got a weekend packed full of action for you to enjoy, so make sure you stay tuned.
It's race 1 time, it's AC40 Pro time. These guys, it's going to be the first race of the weekend, first race for these guys, so it's going to be into the unknown, really. It's going to be such an exciting race. We have a pretty packed field, 13 bikes. It's enough to get a great race going. So much talent is in this field, and it's really going to be a shootout of Byron Johnson, Sam Gardner, and Matthew Thomas, with the likes of Harrison Day having to miss this round. So Harrison, if you're watching, we hope to see you back at Red Lodge, because the likes of Harrison Day has had quite an up and down season this year. Maybe a bit of consistency needs to be in the side for 2023. But right now these riders playing about in the Holden area, getting ready, getting themselves psyched up for what is going to be an incredible race, I'm sure.
It will be. All eyes though on the man on pole position, Byron Johnson. All he needs to do to wrap up the championship in this race is finish ahead of Sam Gardner, who starts from P2. And if they both don't score points for whatever reason, or if they sort of crash into each other or something like that, then Johnson wins on count back already, because mathematically Sam Gardner won't be able to do it. So Byron Johnson, the pressure's on, but all he's got to do is finish ahead of Sam Gardner, and that's something that he's done a lot this season. Of course, no disrespect to Sam, he's a fantastic rider, but Byron has been the class of the AC40 Pros field this season. And there you can see him on the left of your screen, the number 37. He is starting from the pole position with Sam Gardner alongside him. Matthew Thomas, he starts from P3. He's looking to gain on Harrison Day in the championship today, with Jensen Bishop in P4. Lewis Hull starts in P5 with Bradley Curtis P6. Callum Maxwell is in 7th with Rex Osman in 8th. Edward Darnton is 9th. Oliver Hall is 10th. Dylan Toy in 11th. George Ackman 12th. And Lucy Curtis rounds out the grid.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great race. Guys, just heading out on the warm-up lap. Now we'll get one warm-up lap before the lights go on. Then they go out. So Byron Johnson heading from pole position. What is going to happen? Will the championship be wrapped up on the Saturday, on the second last round? Pressure, will it get to him? Will Sam Gardner be able to make him crack or finish in front of him. That's what he has to do to keep his championship hopes alive. Currently, the championship stands at 125 points, with Byron Johnson leading the way from Sam Gardner. If Sam Gardner finishes behind Byron Johnson still wins championship, and even if Byron Johnson crashes and so is Sam Gardner, Byron Johnson still wins the championship. So it's an important race for these guys, and it's going to be one where it's just trying to keep calm and not let the pressure get to you. 13 bikes, so much action, maybe even back markers getting into play. We're just going to have to wait and see and find out for the race 1 of the AC40 Pro class.
We will have to wait and find out, but we won't have to wait much longer as the riders file their way onto the grid, and it's all eyes on that front row. Byron Johnson, can he take the championship? Sam Gardner, can he take it onwards? It's time to go racing here at Rowrah. The flag marshal points up. We get ready for the first race of the weekend, and I'm sure we all know what comes next. It is the red lights, and they will come on. It's almost a jump start there from Byron Johnson, but we do go racing, and it's Sam Gardner who gets the better launch this time. Byron has the inside, but Sam Gardner sweeps around the outside into turn 1. A great move there, a great start, but will Byron Johnson get a jump start penalty? We'll have to wait and see, because he did go, but he stopped himself as he comes around the outside there of turn 4. So Byron Johnson straight back into the lead, but was that, Lewis, a jump start for the potential champion, as Sam Gardner still challenging?
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. The only real thing that matters is if he was ahead of the line when the lights went out, but right now he is ahead of Sam Gardner, he's ahead of his championship rival, and if the race finished right now, he would win the championship. So Sam Gardner, he's always going to have a winner or winner attitude towards this race. He just has to finish in front of Byron Johnson no matter what. But of course, the battle's all the way down the field. There's quite a few new riders this round, but Byron Johnson coming across the line after the first lap, he leads the way from Sam Gardner, but Sam Gardner is pushing on. He's taking on far more sweeping line, trying to carry far more corner speed. But Byron Johnson is so good in his first sector and towards this hairpin, and on the brakes they go. And Matthew Thomas actually is the rider with the fastest lap of the race so far. Matthew Thomas currently in third place, just behind these two riders. So what's going to happen if these guys start fighting? Maybe Matthew Thomas and maybe even Jensen Bishop can get into play.
And well, we've just been told in our ears that race control are investigating the start. So Byron Johnson is being investigated for a potential jump start. That is not how you want the race, where you could potentially win the championship. It's not how you want it to start. Also, another rider potentially being investigated, we are told. So we'll keep you posted on that. We've got 8 laps to go. We're going to focus on the action that we have in front of us now. It's Byron Johnson leading the way from Sam Gardner. As it stands, if he doesn't get a penalty, Byron Johnson is the champion of the AC40 Pros in 2022. And well, what an achievement that would be. He's been the dominant force this season, but again, do remember he is under investigation. It may not be over yet. Sam Gardner, though, still pursuing, still giving chase as he now heads back down the hill. Again, the cameras just don't do this track justice. It's so undulating. There is not a flat piece of land to be found. Actually, this track built in an old quarry. So that's why there's the high cliffs around the side, which creates a huge amount of wind sometimes, and that's why it's so loved by so many drivers, because every corner is its own unique challenge. As there goes Byron Johnson into the back end of the circuit and into the final corner now. He extended the gap to 1.1 seconds at the line last time. It's going to be a bit bigger this time, because visually he's starting to disappear off into the distance. 2.4 seconds. He's just put 1.3 seconds on Sam Gardner. Well, now we're into the question is, if he does get a penalty, how big is the penalty? He might outrun it.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Will he be able to put in a masterclass? And he might even know himself if he did do a jump start or at risk of having a jump start. He might know himself, and he might know just to go 100% in hell for leather, because Byron Johnson, this means so much to him. This will be a great and a dominant championship win if he can just get round just get around 6 more laps and just edge enough of a gap from Sam Gardner that no matter what, he would be champion. So Sam Gardner, he is needed to stay focused, because if Sam Gardner if he just takes his eye off the ball, maybe pushing. And there's actually going to be a 3-second penalty for Byron Johnson. So what is this gap going to be as Sam Gardner comes across the line at 3.2? So if the checker flag came out right now, it would be a 2/10 of a second championship win. Well, on the result page, but on track it would be 3.2 with a 3-second penalty. But it's going to be a highly intense race now, because he has to keep this gap, he has to keep this massive gap. And also I believe there's going to be a penalty for the 71 Bradley Curtis, currently in 6th position, also a jump start for him. And further down the order, actually, Oliver Hall is up into 8th position, and Lewis Hull down in 10th, not where we're used to seeing him, but Byron Johnson, this is where we're used to seeing him up front and in control of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis Hull, I think, is just this is a track that's actually really punishing for larger riders, especially on the mini motos, because there's some really steep uphill sections where, you know, if you're a bigger rider, it can really actually just cost you a lot of time. I think that's what Lewis Hull's going through, unfortunately. You know, he's one of the older riders in this pros category. Physically, he's the largest one out of all of them by a long way. And I still got no idea how he fits on the bike in the first place. So he's, I think maybe Lewis Hull just struggling with those uphill sections, just costing him time because of that disadvantage of his size. But it's all eyes on the front, it's all eyes on this man, the number 37, who right now is champion-elect, Byron Johnson, outrunning a 3-second jump start penalty. As further back, we've got some action throughout the pack. We've got Oliver Hall fighting, I believe that's with Rex Austin, as he tries to have a look to the inside, but no, he can't quite make the gap appear, can Oliver Hall, with last year's FAB-Racing Rookies Cup champion, as they head down the back section of the track, fighting all throughout the field here as normal in the AC40 Pros Championship. It's something we're so used to, it's just action everywhere you look.
Including the timesheets. And Byron Johnson setting the fastest lap of the race this time around to 55.5. 5.1 seconds is the gap between Sam Gardner and Byron Johnson. But as you mentioned, Oliver Hall and Rex Austin going at it. And this race and this battle will go on to the end of the race, because Oliver Hall, rookie champion last year, he's shown great pace this year. He's shown great development, really. He's been on the mini GP50s on practice days, trying to get himself into that form of riding a motorcycle with gears and with a clutch, but they're not being able to get a drive out the corner to get past Rex Austin. But as you mentioned, battles all the way down the field, 3 laps to go and 3 laps to decide the championship.
Yeah, it's could be interesting. Again, Byron Johnson with that 3-second jump stop, and it actually quite lenient. I think because he stopped completely. He only went forward a little bit and then stopped completely before the red lights went out. He didn't keep rolling and just floor it, as some riders do sometimes. So I think it's we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, so very interesting. So could be a day to remember for Byron Johnson. And I'm sure that if he does take the championship, he's got 2 laps left to go, realistically 1.5. If he does take this championship, I'm sure there will be plenty of celebrations to enjoy at the final round at Red Lodge. Coming on to the last lap in a few moments' time, Byron Johnson with a 3-second penalty, the dominant force of this season. He's got one hand on the trophy, champion-elect, 1 final lap, this is it.
Yeah, 1 final lap. He just needs to stay focused. Everything will be running through his head from that start, from maybe some tip-offs this year, and from every single race that he's ever done, and all the training he's done for this, all the track time for this one championship, for this victory, for his final victory. And now, once again, he's still pushed on. 55.3, fastest lap of the race on the second last lap, so he's still pushing on. That's all he knows what to do. Byron Johnson, he's put in a cracking season, cracking performance, both in the AC40 Pro and in the LC40 Elites. Now he's just catching some back markers, but that will not faze him. Callum Maxwell, he just has to get past him. He's in the final sector of the track. All the controversy this race, all the dominance that he's had this season. One more corner to decide the Ollie, comes across the line to take the win and to take the championship win. It's Byron Johnson who wins the AC40 Pro Race 1 and wins the AC40 Pro 2022 British Championship. So it's a great great result for Byron Johnson and the whole family. He does everything to be proud of, the dominance and the pure maturity that he has shown this year.
I don't think he's actually realised he's won it yet, to be honest. He seems pretty calm and collected. Maybe he's just showing off how cool he is. That is an awesome achievement for Byron Johnson, champion of the AC40 Pros in 2022. Sam Garnett can no longer mathematically catch him. Even if he wins the next 2 races and Byron Johnson was a no score, he would still have that 75-point gap that he needs coming into the final round. Byron Johnson, champion of 2022 in the AC40 Pros, with a penalty as well. Byron Johnson, wow, what a performance to take the title with a 9.7 second winning margin, 6 seconds in reality. Sam Garner, despite his best efforts, only P2 with Matthew Thomas in P3. Edward Darnton was able to get to P4 with Jensen Bishop in P5. Bradley Curtis in P6. Oliver Hall managed to get past Rex Austin in the end to P7 with Austin just behind him. And rounding out the top 10 is Dylan Torian and Lewis Hull. But it will be Byron Johnson taking the first win of the weekend and taking the title. So it is time now for the one that we have all been waiting for as a crowd begins to form on the banking. It is waiting to get going as some of the riders start to come into the dummy area. It is time, of course, for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, and all eyes will be on the reigning champion Ethan Sparks. All he needs to do in this race is finish 5th, and for the first time ever we have a back-to-back champion. We have a double champion in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. And Ethan Sparks, 5th is poor by his standards, so I think he's going to be feeling confident coming into this one, especially given he's going off pole.
So they really stay on the bike because he has the pace to be able to go in the top 5, and right now in qualifying anyway, he had the pace to go in pole position. So it clearly shows the mentality of him, and that is just going for it. It was about an 8/10 of a second gap from Ethan Sparks and his rival Henry McCartney in qualifying, but Ethan Sparks, he's done it before, so can he do it again? We're just going to have to wait and see and wait and find out, because this is race 1 of the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. The riders now lining up on the grid, on the dummy grid, before we head off for the warm-up lap, and then lights will go on, lights will go out, and then we'll get underway for what is the closing part of the season and potentially a championship deciding race. So much talent in this field. All he has to do is finish in the top 5 to win the championship, get 11 points on the board and get in front of Henry McCartney. But Henry McCartney, he thinks it's almost out of his reach, but quite a messy getaway there for this warm-up lap where Ethan Sparks will be starting from pole position alongside his championship rival Henry McCartney. Blake Wilson, an incredible qualifying from him, in 3rd position with Luke Fitchett alongside him. Archie O'Brien making his Mini GP70 debut will be starting in 5th place. How will he get that bike off the line? Ronnie Harris, he's just made his British Talent Cup debut in superb form, and Ethan Sparks' teammate starts in 6th position. Noah Gilray in 7th, and Ollie Sims, after quite an up and down weekend, a crash in qualifying, he will start 8th.
Well, it's a very, very strong grid here in the Mini GP70s, and this is a track that always breeds fantastic racing. But it will be all eyes on that front row. McCartney against Sparks. Even if McCartney wins, all Sparks has to do is finish in that top 5, and he clinches the championship. Pressure's on then for the number 62, for the reigning champion. But he's been here before. Last year, Rowrah wasn't the happiest of hunting grounds for him, but this year it has the potential to be so as we wait for the red lights. And the riders sitting revving their engines, those 2-stroke Mini GP70 engines, which can be very tricky to start But here we go. It'll be red lights on, red lights off, winner race. A perfect start for Ethan Sparks. McCartney slow away. Luke Fitcher trying to get at the inside of Blake Wilson, but no. He delays them, so McCartney manages to slot back into second. But it's Ethan Sparks who gets away with an absolute fly. There goes Henry McCartney looking to the inside and getting through, but Ethan Sparks will get the switch back on the exit of the corner. No, he doesn't. Diving into the inside in the right-hander though. He's going to, he almost touches, forces McCartney to sit the bike up a little bit. That is super brave from a rider who all he needs to do is finish fifth, and he's already trying to fight for a win up the inside. Oh, this is superb from Ethan Sparks and Henry McCartney. Sparks leads the way. McCartney's going to battle him though all the way to the line up the inside. Brilliant stuff. Henry McCartney leads, Ethan Sparks in second. This one's going down to the wire.
Yeah, Ethan Sparks, he's wanting to do this in a style that he knows best, and that is winning every single race, every single opportunity he gets, he will take to get past him. 11 laps to go in this race. Henry McCartney leads the way, the number 31, but the number 62, Ethan Sparks, tries to look down the inside once again, but cannot make it work. He sat him up last time around. What will he do this time around? He looks down the inside, he makes the move a bit earlier this time, but Henry McCartney tries to stand up his bike early and get the drive off the corner down this straight, but he cannot make it work. Henry McCartney now demoted to second. If these guys keep fighting, the likes of Blake Wilson just behind can get into play, and cover 3 or 4 bike battle for the lead. Off the line, Archie O'Brien really struggled with the GP70. Obviously though, first ever race start, a lot to work on this weekend, a lot to get his little head around, so I'm sure as the weekend gets on and the weekend progresses, his starts will get better as he's just started to master the Mini GP50. But as we come across the line once again, 10 laps to go in this race, it's Ethan Sparks who leads the way from Henry McCartney as Henry McCartney dives down the inside on the number 31. He makes it stick, he almost runs Sparks out to the curb, and now will Sparks get past. He loves braking and he loves getting past this corner. He makes it work once again, but Henry McCartney there, too tight on the exit and almost losing the rear. But Henry McCartney, he knows what he has to do, and that is stay in front of Ethan Sparks and try and push Ethan Sparks into a mistake.
There's only so much Henry McCartney can do here, but winning is the key to everything for him. He has to win, and then Lady Luck has to be on his side. It's currently Ethan Sparks leading the way with the fastest lap, who holds all the cards. He's looking superb on the brakes today. A real overtaking threat whenever McCartney gets back past 2/10 the gap at the line last time with 9 laps left to go. McCartney with a superb run out of the opening section, but it will be Sparks maintaining the lead on that number 62. That was really wide from Henry McCartney coming out of the left-hand hairpin, and he's dropped back a little bit, so he won't be challenging into the right-hander, but he's still sticking on the back of the reigning champion, the 62. It's not all done for him just yet, but Henry McCartney, he's got a tall order. The laps are ticking away, and Ethan Sparks is starting to extend the gap a little bit. He needs to win, and he needs Ethan Sparks to finish outside of the top 5 if he wants to take this race to this championship to the next race, let alone the next round.
Yeah, speaking to Henry McCartney, he knew that it was almost going to be an impossible task to win the championship this year, but as soon as the lights go out, as soon as the visor is down, the race mode goes on, all them thoughts go out the window. It's just trying to do your best. If Henry McCartney does his best, that will be good enough for him, as long as he knows that he done everything he could to try and take the championship off Ethan Sparks. That should be enough, but Ethan Sparks, nothing is enough but a win, and he shows that with a 48.9 last time around. That is 4/10 faster than Henry McCartney. The only people actually in the 40 seconds, never mind the 48. The lap record round here is a 49.3. So he's broken the lap record actually. So Ethan Sparks breaking the lap record on a championship important race. I mean, this race is so important for him, but he's still pushing 110%.
I mean, he doesn't need to risk it. With a new lap record there of 48.918 confirmed for you, he doesn't need to push this hard. He doesn't need to risk it. But that's Ethan Sparks. He's a racer through and through, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to risk it all if it means glory come the checkered flag. The gap now just over a second at the line last time as they head into the super fast back section of the track, which on these Mini GP70s must be so much fun and yet awfully terrifying at the same time. They are so quick around this part of the racetrack, as there we see Ronnie Harris and Archie O'Brien fighting Ronnie. Unfortunately, this weekend not quite going his way already down in P5. Of course, Ronnie was the early man to be in the championship, leading the championship for the first few rounds, just drifting away from his teammate Ethan Sparks. All three of these guys actually. Archie O'Brien also on the Vision Track Academy, making his 70s debut this weekend, just getting some track time on the bike before next year. And Ronnie, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with this year, especially given his early championship lead, but he's still had a phenomenal season nonetheless. He's got a fair few wins along the way, some incredible results, and he's shown us what he can do, and he's really put on a display.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien right now putting in a great performance, trying to get past Ronnie Harris, because he's completely new to the bike as Archie O'Brien. So if he can get past Ronnie Harris, a far more experienced rider, who in himself is so quick. I mean, in his British Talent Cup debut, he qualified in the top 25, which is so impressive for you to do on your debut in that class. But right now it looks like they're actually closing the gap of fourth place and of it was only 1.3 seconds at that time around between these two here, who are battling out. Blake Wilson and Luke Fitch at the number 7 and the number 8, battling it out and slowing themselves down slightly with just 5 laps to go. I don't think the final podium position is decided yet, but up front, Ethan Sparks still leads the way. Last time around it was 2.6 seconds that he had over Henry McCartney. So can he even crack? What will he be able to do? We are witnessing history right now, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be the first ever Mini GP 70 two-time British champion, and 2 years in a row that he'll be doing it in. But Blake Wilson running slightly deep there, it's turning slightly too early, and now Luke Fitchett is looking to pounce because he is so good at defending once he gets in front of them. And Luke Fitchett looks down the inside maybe, but he cannot make it work. So 4 laps to go in this race. What is going to happen? Actually, it's like, Archie O'Brien, potential bike issue there for him, sitting at the side of the track. His debut in the Mini GP 70s has not went to plan. You can just see the frustration and the disappointment there from Archie O'Brien, who is battling for 5th position.
Oh, what a shame for Archie O'Brien, one of the nicest young men you'll ever come across, mature beyond his years. That is a real shame. Hopefully they can get the bike sorted as we go back to the battle for 3rd place between Blake Wilson and Luke Flatcap Fitch. Of course, Luke Fitcher can actually take a championship as well this weekend in the 50s if luck goes his way. He's not going to be taking the 70s championship this season. That, I think, is now destined for Ethan Sparks, but maybe he can get a podium in this 70s race. He's got a really big run out of the opening section up the inside. Forces Blake Wilson to stand the bike up, runs a little bit wide, but now Luke Fitchett is in front. He's going to do what he does best and defend for his life. Blake Wilson, if you want a podium, you've got a tall order now, son.
Yeah, he certainly does. And Ronnie Harris looks like he's starting just to slightly catch them, but Blake Wilson, he's going to have to push on. He's going to have to invent something pretty special. With just 3 laps to go this time at the line, it'll just be 2 laps to go. So now he has to just get a surprise move, a surprise attack, and not show a front wheel until it's too late for Luke Fitchett. So Luke Fitchett right now, what will he be able to do? Will he be able to keep Blake Wilson behind? But up front, as we cross the line, 2 laps to go, Ethan Sparks now leads by 4.1 seconds with the championship in one hand.
I think it is safe to say Ethan Sparks, champion-elect. What a performance it has been from Ethan Sparks so far. I mean, 4.1 seconds up the road. He didn't need to push. He didn't need to risk it, as we see a forlorn Archie O'Brien watching along at the side of the racetrack. But he's gone for it, and he's going to take this championship in absolute style. As you can see him there at the back of the shot, and he is about to begin his final lap. Last year, the championship was decided by 1 point in Sparks' favour at the title showdown, a very controversial title showdown, which he was able just to clinch it. This year, it's been a bit easier for him, shall we say. Well, not easier, perhaps a bit more dominant. On that Vision Track bike, Sparks, who was too young to go on to British Talent Cup, which is why he stayed, has just been absolutely dominant. He has been the force to beat, and he's got half a lap left to go to make history here in FAB-Racing, and he knows it, just taking it nice and easy as he comes down to the back section for the final time in race 1. for the first time ever in FAB Racing history, we are going to have a double champion in the Mini GP70s. We are going to have a back-to-back champion in the Mini GP70s. Ethan Sparks, for the second time in a row, champion in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is history for the number 62. What a performance, what a season, what a rider.
Yeah, incredible ride that race as well from Ethan Sparks. He wanted to win it and he wanted to show what he was made of. 2.9 seconds of a lead he had. He pushed Henry McCartney to his limit, and Henry McCartney, he had no answer, but Ethan Sparks wheeling into the straight. Will we see any more celebrations? Of course, the formal celebrations will take place at the final round of the championship at Red Lodge, but Ethan Sparks, he can't hold in his delightment. He is so happy with the result, wheeling in just that 70cc motor. It's so impressive, and it's so great to see at just 12 years old that he has so much talent and such good results to already put on his resume. So great racing, great result all year from Ethan Sparks. It's been pure dominance. You can just see Luke Fitchett congratulating them as Ethan Sparks celebrates for the rest of the day, I would say. But Ethan Sparks wins the race from Henry McCartney by 2.9 seconds. Luke Fitchett rounds off the podium with Blake Wilson in fourth. Ronnie Harris, fifth place on the Vision Track bike, with Noah Gilray and Ollie Sims in sixth and seventh after battling all the way throughout the race. And Archie O'Brien sadly DNFing on his debut, but there's Ethan Sparks back in the paddock, and back in the paddock as a two-time Mini GP champion. He cannot believe it. And that was a great race for the first race of the weekend of the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship.
Time then for some FAB Racing Rookies Cup action, and it's been an action-packed season so far, and it could have the potential to be an action-packed weekend as well, because there is the chance for Taylor Tomlinson to take the championship at this round. It's one of the more unlikely ones, but there is a mathematical chance, so have to keep your eyes on Taylor Tomlinson and Sebastian Goslavsky. Was speaking to them both this morning, both of them really enjoying this weekend, really enjoying this track, and they've both had fantastic seasons. And well, Taylor saying, you know, Sebastian, I think he's going to have the advantage this weekend because he's a smaller, younger rider. He's got the weight advantage, and this is a track where physicality, where size matters so much, especially to the guys on mini motos as we get going on the formation lap. And just to prove a point, it is Sebastian Goslavsky who starts from the pole position with Josh Perkins in P2. Logan Cousins goes from P3 with Taylor Tomlinson, championship leader, alongside him. Tyler Hartley goes from 5th with Preston Baker in P6. Caleb Ratcliffe and Seth Hayward make up the 4th row of the grid, with Annabelle McCarthy and Kai Hawken rounding out the top 10. Archie Hooper starts in 11th with Nicholas Dunwoody on his birthday, starting in P12. Max Johnson is 13th with Matthew Jennings in 14th. Jensen Ansell in P15 alongside Mason Fedrick, with Daisy Polden, Danny Longhurst, Jensen Cedras and Reed Saxelby rounding out the grid here for the AC40 Rookies Championship, the FAB Racing Rookies Cup. And again, it is unlikely, but there is a chance Taylor Tomlinson can wrap up this championship. And, well, it'll be interesting to see if he does. If he doesn't, of course, it goes to the final round at Red Lodge. But, you know, this is a big weekend for the young man. He's been a fantastic character all season long. He's been a real pleasure to introduce to the paddock and see him put in these amazing performances. But Sebastian Goslavsky's been giving him a good chase, and there's only 52 points between them. And, well, going from the pole position while Tomlinson goes from 4th. If anyone's going to force it to go to the final round, it's Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian Goslavsky, all cards are in his hands. What can he do for race 1 of the AC40 Rookies? What is going to happen? And Taylor Tomlinson will start 4th position, which is not where we're used to seeing him all year, actually. So Taylor Tomlinson will pressure get Tim. We're going to have to wait and find out. The start marshal, Rob, is at the front of the grid with the red flag, waiting for these riders to get the final checks done before we can get underway for race 1 of the AC40 Pros. It's going to be Sebastian Goslavsky and Josh Perkins on front row. Lights go on and lights go off, and we are racing, and Josh Perkins races his way down to the first corner, but it's Sebastian Goslavsky who will take the lead going into turn 1. Logan Cousins currently in third. Taylor Tomlinson, the championship leader, in fourth position. He's not lost any places off the start, but will Sebastian Gieslewski manages to get out front and clear away? We're going to have to wait and find out, because Josh Perkins is no slouch. He is going to be putting on a maximum attack, maximum effort on that number 30 bright lime green motorcycle, but going slightly wide on the exit there. Maybe letting Logan Cousins slightly catch him with the slipstream. Now these riders trying to tuck in every single part of their body as possible, but Taylor Thompson actually under pressure straight away. And so now you can see battles heading all the way down the field at the moment. Taylor Thompson in the black and orange levers, the championship leader. A group and a gaggle of riders behind him as we come towards the final corner to end the first lap. Annabelle McCarthy there following Nicholas Dunwoody round towards the last section of the lap, but going across the line now. 7 laps to go. Such a short race, and it's actually Sebastian Gieslewski who leads the way, trying to gain back points on his championship rival Taylor Thompson, who sits in 4th.
Yeah, this is a prime opportunity for Sebastian Gieslewski to close the gap. 52 points was the gap coming into this race. He can make that much, much shorter if they finish as they do. 7 laps left to run here in race 1 of the AC40 Rookies. Gieslewski leads from Josh Perkins in second. Logan Cousins with the fastest lap in P3, and Taylor Tomlinson just not on his usual form again. When I spoke to him earlier, he just said he's really worried. He's bigger than Gieslewski. He's heavier than Gieslewski. He's older than Gieslewski. So coming to a track where, your size, your physicality matters so much, and especially on these small mini moto machines, it is a real disadvantage. And this is the perfect opportunity for Sebastian Gieslewski to take an advantage of that and close up in the championship. Currently leading by 0.8 of a second at the line last time out. And now it's 1 second, so chipping away little bits and pieces as further back in the pack, some fighting going on. I believe that's Kai Hawken and Archie Hooper alongside Annabelle McCarthy and Seth Hayward fighting for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. And actually some places being traded there. Kai Hawken trying to go at the inside of Archie Hooper, and does an Annabelle McCarthy sweeping around the outside. That's a superb move from Annabelle McCarthy on Archie Hooper all the way around the outside. Well, Archie, one of them, Kai Hawken, I think, in his shoot. No. Well, there's too many riders going around on the track right now. It's Archie Hooper who's shooting. No, it is Kai Hawken who's starting to break away. And then it's Archie Hooper who's just got wrapped back around Annabelle McCarthy. Too many riders going around, but Annabelle McCarthy putting on a great performance here at the moment.
Yeah, great race at the moment, and it's great to see such a big field across all rounds this year in the rookie class. 20 riders right now as Archie Hooper goes down the outside, and so as Annabelle McCarthy just dives straight up the inside across that cement dust that was laid this morning. So that cement dust from a bike that sadly expired in one of the first qualifying sessions. So Archie Hooper showing these guys the way. 5 laps going this race. Sebastian Gieslewski out front by 1.5 seconds and with a 101.844 as his fastest lap, and Annabelle McCarthy getting pushed right out to the white line there. This is an intense battle actually for 8th position at the moment, so every single position matters, just like this man here, the championship leader. Every single position matters for him. Still in 4th, but just got past, so now he's in 5th position and he's dropped down to 5th. So Taylor Thompson, he needs to use his head, not make any stupid mistakes, because 0 points would be a disaster. That was almost a disaster there waiting to happen, really. 5 laps to go. What can he do for his championship chances?
Aggressive racing from these young riders, some of them as young as 6, and I think maybe a mistake there for Logan Cousins, because Taylor Tomlinson looking up the inside and thought, oh no, they touch! Oh, they're both down! They're both down in the final corner. Yellow flag waves as Taylor Tomlinson and Logan Cousins come together. Taylor Tomlinson gets back on the bike and gets going again, but he's fallen well down the order, and suddenly the championship is wide open as Taylor Tomlinson is not quite out of the points. But this is huge for Sebastian Gieslewski. It was 52 points coming into this race. It's not going to be 52 points coming out of it. I'm going to have to do some maths very quickly for you, Lewis. But this is huge, and a rare mistake from Taylor Tomlinson as well, going for a gap that was always going to disappear. That is something that we're not used to seeing this year. Yeah, he's dropped down to about 10th position at the moment, so not what he would have wanted at all. The question is, how much time can he gain in this final 4 laps of race? But it just looked like he tried to dive down the inside,
of another rider there, and it just all went wrong. I believe that's Caelan Ratcliffe that he tried to dive down the inside, but he didn't show enough of his motorcycle. That Caelan Ratcliffe went into the corner, not knowing he was there, just took his normal line, and then boom, Sebastian Gieslowski braked a bit too late and just tried to commit to the move as best as possible. Was there, they made contact, and both of them went down. But Sebastian Gieslowski up front at the moment, but Taylor Tomlinson up into 8th place already, and there actually is another move, so up into 7th place now.
Damage limitation for Taylor Tomlinson as he's fighting his way back through, but this is I think it's safe to say, disastrous in terms of his championship hopes as we keep going around with 3 laps left to go, as the sky gets greyer and greyer and the temperature slowly drops. It is not the grippiest out there when it's cold here at Rowrah. Taylor Tomlinson, though, pushing for all it's worth. He knows he needs to keep his championship deficit to an absolute minimum. He can't let Sebastian Gieslowski take the biggest advantage possible, and he's actually, I think, thinking sensibly now more than anything, maybe not going for gaps that are going to disappear as he slides in front into turn 1. So Taylor Tomlinson, that'll be back up into P6 as he gets around Archie Hooper. So already actually not that far off of where he was running, so not that bad in reality. He's only lost a few places, but 2 laps left to go. It's still points that have been thrown away for Taylor Tomlinson, and it's points which Sebastian Gieslowski is carving out of his championship lead.
Yeah, he certainly is, and I believe it might just be even a bit of desperation from Taylor Tomlinson, realising that this man up front is edging away in a dominating style. 3 races this weekend, a total of 75 points up for grabs, and it looks like Sebastian Gieslowski is on course to take the first 25 of them, currently leading the way by 3.1 seconds as he comes round to take the final last lap. Board will be out, and he just has 1 more lap to navigate round this Cumbrian Rowrah circuit on the number 64 bike before he can close the gap on his championship rival. This couldn't have went better for him, to be honest. From the word go, he led the way, and he led the way in a dominating fashion, almost onto the curb there, but avoided that slight overcast at the moment. So potentially maybe some change in weather might be afoot, because we are on the coast still. It's quite changeable conditions here, quite unpredictable conditions here, quite windy usually, but it's not too bad today for these younger riders on these smaller motorcycles. But Sebastian Gieslowski, he's shown the way to everyone. He's shown how it's done and how you win a race in a dominating style. Josh Perkins still in that 2nd position with Logan Cousins in 3rd. Championship will not be decided today, but anything can happen. Sebastian Gieslowski, number 64, comes round the final corner to close the gap on Taylor Tomlinson. He takes the checker flag and he takes the race win for race 1 of the AC40 Rookies. Josh Perkins actually celebrating over the line there, almost losing out to Logan Cousins. So Sebastian Gieslowski, your race winner from Josh Perkins, and Logan Cousins coming home in 3rd to round off our podium. So great race, loads of drama for the championship. Sebastian Gieslowski, he will not know yet what happened with Taylor Tomlinson behind him. Taylor Tomlinson comes across the line in 6th place, so it's not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. He only lost 2 positions really from where he was when he made that mistake. So Taylor Tomlinson, it was a race really which shows what pressure can do to you as his championship rival wins.
37 points is now the gap between Gieslowski and Taylor Tomlinson. It is getting very, very tight indeed out there. But what a ride from Sebastian Gieslowski as he took a fantastic and very, very dominant win in a very cool and collected fashion as well. And that is huge for his championship hopes as well. Sebastian Gieslowski is your race 1 winner, but he was followed closely by Josh Perkins and Logan Cousins rounding out the podium, with Tyler Hartley in P4 and Preston Baker in P5. Taylor Tomlinson can only manage P6 in his recovery ride, with Archie Hooper in P7. Nicholas Dunwoody gets some points on his birthday. That's nice, isn't it? With Kai Hawken in 9th and Seth Hayward in P10. That'll be it then for the AC40 Rookies, the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup action for today. But of course, don't worry, they'll be back out there tomorrow for all their race 2s and their race 3s. So plenty of action still to come, and plenty more mini-moto action to come, and plenty more general action to come as well. We've still got a whole afternoon's worth of racing here at Rowrah, so plenty of excitement to look forward to. But that is it for the AC40 Rookies.
Coming up next, we will have race 1 of the Moto Team class. This class is a class that really changes every single round with the amount of riders that take place in it, but it's been plenty of drama this year. 2 classes in the Moto Team race, a standard and an open class. Will Howarth, who is not here this weekend after breaking his back in a senior mini-moto high side at Clandell, so he leads the way in the open class by 82 points over Jason Pugh. But Jason Pugh also injured himself last time out at Clandell, but of course other riders can go on the bike, and that's Darren Anderson's bike with not Darren Anderson on it. Same with Jason Pugh's bike, the number 8. So what is going to happen in the standard class? Jamie King leads by 81 points over Jack Andrews. So both championships still up for grabs in the Moto Team class. We're just going to have to wait and see what is going to happen as the riders are waiting to get out on their formation. You can see a horn actually. Some of these guys keeping the horn on the motorcycles, but we're waiting to see what is going to happen in this race, because it should be a very, very entertaining race, because as we set off, it should be the number 8 of Darren Anderson on pole position. It's great seeing Darren Anderson back out with Jamie King, his bike with Sean Whitaker on it for this race. In second place, Ian Jackson on the 270 Suzuki will be starting third, with Sam Klaus on the 133, which was that's actually Darren Anderson's own bike, but Sam Klaus is out in it this weekend. It's great seeing Sam back on the bike competing at Clandell for his first race in 4 years. So Mark Pollitt will be starting in 5th with Scott Jewett alongside him. Phil Maplebeck will be starting 7th with Iona Glover in 8th. Iona Glover coming back from an injury herself after having quite an up and down season, after having a crash on the mini F1 sidecar earlier on in the season at Wilton Mill. So Elliot Newton will be starting 9th with Madison Martlew on the 888. Rounded off our grid in 10th, so only 10 bikes here, but it's still going to be some great racing in store for us as we head round to the grid to get started for race 1 for the Moto Team.
As we put onto the grid, it's important to know that Open Championship leader Will Howarth a no-show this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how Jason Pugh can whittle away at his points advantage as Will Howarth recovers from his injury sustained at the last round. But we all now focus on the lights. What can Jason Pugh do? Can he carve away the points advantage of Howarth? And can the number 1 bike of Jamie King take the championship in the standard class this weekend as we go racing? It's a good start from the number 8 of Darren Anderson with Ian Jackson on the 270 following. And there's the 1 of Jamie King in P3. Of course, not Jamie King on the bike. It's Moto Team. Sometimes it's different people on the bike. You just got to run with it and see what happens. As the 270 trying to challenge the 8 up into the right-hander, but cannot quite make the move early on into the race. Moto Team, much more a race of strategy more than anything, as the 270, the 8 draw side by side as they run down the hill into the back corner, but the 8 is on the brakes later and will sweep around and cut across. And there's the 133 of Sam Clowes moving up and moving past the number 1 bike. So changes on the podium there, and Sam Clowes actually looking to go a bit further forward. He's looking to challenge Ian Jackson on the 270. So changes a foot early on into this Moto Team race. As we get to the end of the first lap, it is the number 8 of Darren Anderson leading in the open class, but the 133 of Sam Clowes is moving very, very fast indeed.
Yeah, it's great to see Sam Clowes with this type of pace on the podium positions at the minute, but Sean Whitaker is just behind him on the Jamie King bike, and just behind them is the number 65 of Mark Pollitt, who's actually on a Derby, a 50cc Derby. So it's great seeing a great range of bikes and a great class that we have here, but run slightly wide actually is Darren Anderson, and straight up the inside is Ian Jackson. So running down towards the corner, it's going to be Ian Jackson who has the inside line, and he tries to take that, but Darren Anderson trying to be brave right around the inside, but running on that curb and letting Sam Clowes now pass. With Sam Clowes in second position, looking to take the race lead. Will he be able to make it work? No, he cannot. Sam Clowes, of course, being brother of Lee Clowes, one of the marshals here at FAB and one of the officials, doing a great job as usual, but 10 laps to go in this race. What is going to happen? Because now is Ian Jackson from Sam Clowes, from Darren Anderson, from Sean Whittaker. 9 laps now, and it's been an enthralling race so far in the motor team class. As we said, not the biggest class, but always produces this close, great racing across different classes. Because as we mentioned, there's 2 classes. They don't have to be race each other, but once the lights go out, the race heads go on.
Yeah, the number 1 bike, the Jamie King bike, ridden by Sean Whittaker, probably hoping that Clowes does catch up to the back of Ian Jackson on the 270 and gets through him. Because that gives them the chance to fight. Because obviously Ian Jackson, the 270 and the number 1 bike, both in the standard class, the 133 and the number 8 both in the open class. So them fighting for position on track has no effect on their overall result. For example, Jamie King, Sean Whittaker on the King bike, despite the fact he's running 4th overall, will currently be finishing 2nd in the standard class. Just to run you through the podiums in each class. The standard class is Ian Jackson on the 8, Sean Whittaker on the 1, and then Scott Jewett on the 333. In the open class is Sam Clowes on the 133, Darren Anderson on the 8, and Mark Pollett on the 65. But Jamie King will want to be getting in front of Darren Anderson. That number 1 squad, they'll be wanting to take the race win in the standard class because they want to extend their advantage in the championship, because they can wrap it up this weekend. But currently, the 270 is chipping away at their points advantage. And there you go, Sean Whittaker challenging to the inside of the 8 again. This has no effect on their positions come the race end because they're in different classes. But when out on track, you know, the riders tend to forget sometimes. It's more a race for pride and glory more than anything. As we go back to the action up the front as well, 2 separate battles forming of both of the riders, and both of these battles are in 2 different classes, so they really have no reason to be fighting whatsoever, but they're still going at it because, you know, why not? It's fun.
Yeah, it certainly is. Once a race goes on, you just want to get past the person in front of you, especially in Sean Whittaker's case on the number 1 Jamie King bike, because what you really want is to get past the person in front. If you think you're fast enough, he thinks he's faster than Darren Anderson, so he has to get past him to then try and catch up to Ian Jackson, who's in the race lead, but more importantly in the lead of the standard motor team class. So it's really important to get to past it. But Sam Clowes been looking so good at this corner every lap, and he makes it work now on the 133. Sam Clowes takes the race lead from Ian Jackson. This will start slowing them down. This will bring the likes of Darren Anderson and Sean Whittaker back into play. 7 laps to go in this race. It's Sam Clowes who leads the way, and he leads the way, and he's looking pretty good actually, because last time round he had the fastest lap of the race, so 57.3, 3/10 faster than Ian Jackson. So can Ian Jackson keep the pace as Sam Clowes sets a 56.8? That is so impressive from him. Still quite a bit off the lap record held by Will Harf in the motor team class, but Sam Clowes wanted to take his first race win since his return back to racing. Runs slightly wide there, bouncing over the curb. He goes on the 133 motorcycle. Ian Jackson now dropping back slightly. Can he keep the pace, or will he make a mistake? But more importantly, they're in 2 different classes, so they don't have to be fighting necessarily, because Ian Jackson will still win the standard class. But the Jamie King bike with Sean Whittaker on it, number 1 plate, last year's champion, current championship leader, makes it up into 3rd place and into that final podium position.
The overall podium, of course, the number 1 bike running P2 in the standard class, and now chasing down the 270 in their own class as well. As you just come through some of the back markers a bit further down the track, with 5 laps left to go at the line this time, as you see there Madison Martlew getting lapped on the 888. The number 1, Sean Whittaker, they need to get a move on because they are currently 1.6 seconds off the 270 of Ian Jackson. They need to get in front of Ian Jackson if they want to walk away from this weekend having the championship already. Because if it goes to the final round, well, who knows what can happen? It's FAB-Racing. Anything usually does happen. And, well, it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds across the remainder of this weekend. And again, just a reminder, Clowes and Jackson, King and Anderson, they're not fighting each other. Well, they are, but they shouldn't be, because there are different classes. Where you finish overall has no effect on your final result, as Ian Jackson now goes through some lap traffic as well. It's just the motor team is crazy. You got to roll with it sometimes, because you just do. It's moto team. It is super cost effective, and it is super fun racing, but sometimes it gets a little bit complicated, as we see there Darren Anderson sticking a nose to Elliot Newton on the 23 and just saying, get out the way, lap bike, I'm coming through. As we see further down the order as well, we've got the 133. Well, that's further up the order, rather, should I say, of Sam Clowes leading the open class, leading overall as well. 4 laps left to go. He's got a pretty comfortable lead back to Ian Jackson, who's not in his class, who has a pretty comfortable lead back to Sean Whittaker, who's not in his class. There's a very comfortable lead over Darren Anderson, who is in his class. So currently, Sam Clowes sitting very pretty in the overall and the open class lead.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's looking great. He's looked great all race. Still in the 56 seconds. That's so impressive. 900ths of a second of his fastest lap of the race. So straight away, Sam Clowes puts in a great performance. 4 laps to go in this race. So Sam Clowes leads the way on the 133. Ian Jackson in second. The 270 on that Suzuki in second place. Overall race winner in the standard class, but just behind him in third place overall and second in class is that number 1 plate, the Lumen number 1 plate, owned by Jamie King and raced by Sean Whittaker. They will be chopping and changing pretty much every single race of who races that bike. That's the great thing about this class. Multiple riders can race the same bike, so it's almost a team sport. That's why the name Moto Team comes from. But Sam Clowes, this will be a very important victory to him, and a very special victory for him, because it will actually be his sister Lee Clowes who will wave the checker flag for him, and who will wave his first race win since he's come back to racing. And it's great that he came back here for, but Ian Jackson there running very wide and actually showing Sean Whittaker the line through there as he does the exact same thing. Ian Jackson though very focused on the bike behind him and very focused on that gap behind him, because 2 laps to go. Madison Martlew there on your picture, I believe that is actually an Aprilia. So Madison Martlew on the blue and yellow 888 bike, getting currently lapped by the 333 of Scott Jewett. Scott Jewett looking so fast, but here FAB battles all the way down the order, and riders developing all the way down the order. But coming around the final corner now is Madison Martlew. 2 laps to go in this race, and it's been a great race so far. But Madison Martlew, she's putting on a great performance all year. But if you want to get involved, go online at FAB-Racing, and then you can get involved, even get in contact with anyone you know who races at FAB, or just come to one of these events, because they're so great. It's such a friendly community. But Madison Martlew still going around in 10th position at the moment. Some valuable championship points in the Moto Team standard class, a 107.402. But there is your race leader, and there is Sam Clowes looking so confident, just having to get around one more lap. 2.6 seconds over Ian Jackson last time round on the 270 Suzuki. But Sam Clowes, he just has to stay on. He just has to hit his lines perfectly. It's so easy to say, it's so hard to be done. He currently leads the way in the open class and the overall race. He came back from racing from a 4-year absence, and straight away he is on the pace. He looks so strong. His riding style is so impressive, and this race and this performance has been so impressive. Constant high 56s or low 57s. It's been Sam Clowes all race. It's been Sam Clowes down. He should take the checker flag from Lee Clowes. He takes the checker flag, celebrates with his sister, and he does win the race by 2.2 seconds. And coming home in second will be Ian Jackson. Sean Whittaker in third on that number 1 plate, setting the fastest lap of the race, but it's too little, too late. Darren Anderson in fourth, and we wait for other people to cross line. It should be Mark Pollitt who comes across for that top 5 position on that derby, on that 65. But Sam Clowes, wow, what a performance.
That was a ride for the ages from Sam Clowes on the 133, taking the open and the overall win. Wow, just shooting away up front. That is a gap that we're not used to seeing from regular people in Moto Team. I mean, Will Howarth on the 75, that bike and rider combination usually streaks away at the front, but everyone else is usually very, very tight. So a 2.2 second gap by the standard of the people we have here. That is a massive, massive result for Sam Clowes on the 133. He takes the Open class win. Darren Anderson on the 8 will finish second in Open, with Mark Pollett in third, Phil Mapplewhite in fourth, and Elliot Newton in P5. In the standard class, it's Ian Jackson. He takes the victory and chips away at the number 1, the Jamie King bike, and their championship lead, who managed to finish in second place with Scott Jewett in P3, Iona Glover in P4, and Madison Martlew in P5. Only 10 riders on the grid, unfortunately, in Moto Team, but that was a very exciting race, a very dominant performance from Sam Clowes on the 133, and you can tell he really, really enjoyed that one. Yeah, I think that was a great performance, and I think, judging from his reaction, I think he'll some celebrations tonight perhaps for him.
Yeah, I certainly think there will be, and you can just see now having a little discussion with Darren Anderson about that race, maybe something that happened, or he is maybe just congratulating them on what was a superb victory for these guys. You can see now some of the riders sitting there watching. Noah Gilray actually watching just before he heads out on this race. Noah Gilray to the left of your screen in them multicolour levers. But great race and great performance from Sam Clowes.
Race 1 of the Mini GP50s is about to get underway, and all eyes will be on Luke Fitchett and Archie O'Brien, who make up the front row of your grid today. Luke Fitchett, it might be a bit of an ask, but he can take the championship this weekend, but he needs to do a good job as Archie O'Brien shoots a wave up to the cameraman. The gap currently 64 points. Flat Cap Fitchett leading from Archie O'Brien. If it's 75 points at the end of this weekend, he takes the title. But Archie O'Brien, well, he's still searching for his first win this season, but he's a phenomenal rider. And, well, this is a track that he really, really enjoys, really suits his riding style as well. So smooth, so flowing. As they get underway on their sighting lap, we'll have to see who's going to come away on top in this race one. It is Luke Flat Cap Fitchett, who starts from the pole position with Archie O'Brien going off alongside him. Bill Harris starts in P3 with Finley Polehill in P4. Byron Johnson goes from P5 with Frankie Watson in P6. Austin Johnson from P7. Harley Baker in P8. Bailey Lawrence in P9 and Oliver Hall in P10. Great to see a few of the Mini Motos guys starting to make their steps up onto the Metrokit Mini GP bikes at this round. We've got the Johnson brothers, Oliver Hall as well, just making their way out. You know, I've spoken to all of them. You know, their goal here isn't to be fast, it's just time on the bike, looking forward to next season. And but it's great to see them out there. But I think our attention really is going to be on these two. And well, Flat Cap Fitchett from the pole. Archie O'Brien's got a tall order, because we know that 7 can defend and can defend for his life. And Archie O'Brien as well, we know he struggles with his start on these geared Grand Prix style bikes. Let's see who's going to come out on top in this one. O'Brien needs the result to chip away at the championship. Fitchett though, if he gets away in front, it's going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, it certainly is. O'Brien needs to win this weekend to keep his championship hopes alive. There's no other way to say it. 64 points going into this race. If Luke Fitchett wins all 3 races, he wins the championship this weekend. Luke Fitchett, though, on pole position. They'll be looking towards the lights for the lights to go on, then they'll go off. So these guys waiting for final checks to be done on the grid. And Rob points to the lights, revs will rise, and now the guys will go out and we will go racing. Luke Fitchett almost taking off the front wheel of Archie O'Brien, but Archie O'Brien getting a great start and keeping that second position and keeping the pressure on Luke Fitchett. And now Frankie Watson, a great start once again, getting into that third place. Bill Harris just behind Harley Baker, Finley Polehill, and what is one of the Johnson brothers. But now Luke Fitchett leads the way from Archie O'Brien. What will Archie O'Brien do? He says he just wants to win. He tried it at Clandau, he did have a crash and he did fall off, but now he's given 100% and just trying to get his win, just trying to keep his championship hopes alive. Finley Polehill there having a battle further down the field, but it's Archie O'Brien, Spider-Man helmet once again looking for any way past. But look, Fitchett having to defend for his life and having to defend for the championship win.
However, if there's one thing that boy can do, it's defend. But here comes Archie O'Brien looking to the inside. No, can't quite make the gap appear this time. But there's still 10 laps to go. It's early into the race. In this early phase, though, Archie O'Brien looking like the faster rider, all over the back of the 7, all up the inside of the 7 and running wide, and Fitchett will get the switch back. O'Brien won't get the run up the hill either, as he I know that he struggles with traction a little bit on these gear bikes. There's two, just big witnesses. He can't quite nail the start, so the start today was very, very strong. Just had Fitchett cutting across him to try and block him. I know the bike just not quite getting the traction they quite like as well, unfortunately. So coming out of corners, it's Fitchett's game to lose, but Archie O'Brien, he's pushing it very, very hard. And of course, I feel like we need to mention one rider. He can't be with us today as well. Marco Holt, the reigning vice champion, unfortunately suffered an injury while out in Spain and can't be with us today, and that drops him out of championship contention as well. And we've got our fingers crossed that he can be with us for Red Lodge. Marco, if you're watching along, we hope you get well soon and you're back with us soon as well. It's a big shame that you suffered your injury, and we can't wait to see you back on the bike. And once again, Fitchett defending for his life on the exit of the corner, but Archie O'Brien sticking with the 7 for the time being. 9 laps left to go. Archie O'Brien, at this phase in the race, I think he's the quicker rider.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien, he has to get past him. He has to try to find any way past him. There's nothing actually in between him the past couple of laps. It's maybe been half a tenth of a second separating them, and that is really all down to slipstream, or maybe getting held up by the bike in front of you in some corners. Coming across the cement dust there, Archie O'Brien over the curb he goes, looking down the inside towards final corner, almost gets his front wheel taken out by Luke Fitchett. But Luke Fitchett, he's so aggressive. He's so telling him what he's going to do, and that is just defend. And no matter what you try and do, he knows how to try and stop you. But Archie O'Brien on the number 95 wants that first win. He is almost begging for it. 8 laps to go to decide this race and to decide what is the championship stands going to look like tomorrow. How will they sleep at night? Will Luke Fitchett be put under more pressure tomorrow as the championship starts to potentially even close in?
Well, it's important to know that Luke Fitchett can't win the championship in this race, but what he can do is place the advantage firmly in his hands moving forward, and that's what he's trying to do. Again, 75 points is the magic number that you want to have at the end of this weekend over your rivals if you want to clinch the championship this weekend. Currently the gap, Luke Fitchett on 384 points as Archie O'Brien looks for another way through. Archie O'Brien 64 points behind. Having another look into turn 1, a very, very tricky corner. Uphill, blind into turns 2 and 3 as well, just unable to make the gap because once again it's a defensive masterclass from Luke Fitchett, but he runs a little bit wide on the exit of the corner. Archie O'Brien follows him, just trying to stay tucked in, trying to follow his lines. See any weakness in his armour. Archie O'Brien misses his braking point ever so slightly and runs wide, and that may cost him a little bit of time. Archie O'Brien does have the fastest lap of the race at 51.663 the last time out, and that's a very impressive feat to have for the young man, and that is actually a new lap record as well. So Archie O'Brien on lap record pace here as we're heading round, so a great lap time there from Archie O'Brien, and he is all over the tail of Luke Fitchett. It's going to be 6 laps to go this time at the line, as a lap record there for Archie O'Brien. And what a 51.663 smashes the lap record set by Clayton Edmonds last year. Wow, what an achievement for the young man. He's still hunting for his first win this season. He is so hungry though. I was speaking to Archie earlier. He's such a lovely young man, and he just turned his head and said, I can't have a winless season. I refuse to have a winless season. And when he's got 6 races left, if you include this one, to try and get that win, he's still in this championship fight as well, and he is absolutely flying at the moment. The only thing standing in his way from that top stead is championship leader Luke Fitchett.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien said that he's thinking about racing both a 50 and a 70 next year, but Luke Fitchett right now doing that this year. He's doing it in a great style, and it looks like actually it's helped him quite a lot with the mini GP50 class, just getting that extra bike time on the 70. But Archie O'Brien still lurking behind, still trying to look this way or that way. But Marco Holt, as you mentioned, not here this weekend after a leg break, suffering a leg break in a crash at Spain while riding a Moto4 machine. But right now, coming out of the hairpin to another hairpin, Luke Fitchett is doing this how he knows how to do it, and that is dominating, and that is just defending for his life. Because Archie O'Brien, although he's fast, although he is trying everything, he cannot find any way past. But further down the field, it's both the Johnson brothers actually battling with each other. Austin Johnson ahead of his younger brother Byron Johnson, who has just won the AC40 Pro Championship of 2022, and Hartley Baker's just behind them too. And Oliver Hall, actually making his debut as well in the Mini GP50 class, is in 10th position at the moment, and just a little bit off Bailey Lawrence. So these guys going at brotherly fights once again. And brotherly love right there. Byron Johnson just getting ahead of Austin Johnson, getting him out the power band. So that has really hindered Austin Johnson's lap time and his fight to try and catch Finlay Paulhill, who's in 5th position with just 4 laps to go.
Oh, that was definitely a new trousers moment as we see there. Oh, that's the front two trying to lap each other. And that's one of the Johnsons that's gone down. And I believe that is Austin that's gone down. And he did have a bit of a moment a few moments ago when Byron dived up the inside. I was just about to say, he got on the concrete dust and nearly lost the front. And now he's gone down. And that looks like it's race over for Austin Johnson. So a big shame for him. And, he is out, but luckily he's up on his feet and all okay. Unfortunately, the brotherly fight won't continue for the remainder of this race. We'll have to wait and see if they're back out tomorrow, but that is a big shame there for Austin Johnson. But of course, it is absolutely great to see him on his feet and okay, if a little frustrated, if I'm reading his body language correctly. He is not the happiest, I think it is safe to say. And that is unfortunate there. As we go back to the front, Luke Fitchett has started to pull a little bit of a gap on Archie O'Brien. He's still not lapping quicker. The last lap time was actually Archie O'Brien was ever so slightly faster, but I just think Archie O'Brien's just getting caught in the wrong places with the traffic, as Luke Fitch have to make a big commitment on this end. You see there again Archie O'Brien just catching the traffic in the wrong places. 2 laps to go at the line this time by. The gap, it's a lot bigger than it has been before. What's ahead of the line this time? It's 0.6 of a second. So Archie O'Brien, unfortunately, back markers once again. We've seen them time and time again in all the classes of FAB-Racing this year, just causing chaos. And it's come at potentially the worst possible time for Archie O'Brien. But there's still 1.5 laps left to go for the number 91. Can he close back up to flat cap Fitchett? Can he try and make a dent? Can he take his first victory of the season?
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and find out. 1.5 laps to go, and it's Luke Fitchett who leads the way with the Byron Sheet inspired number 7, with Archie O'Brien, Spider-Man inspired helmet, in 2nd place at the moment. But Austin Johnson disappointing for a bit. I believe we just got the start of that crash. It just looked like he was at the point where you start to get on the power and you start to take the weight off your front tyre. So as soon as that weight gets taken off front tyre, it can just fold. But it's last lap time for race 1, and Archie O'Brien sets another lap record with a 51.583. So he's broken it twice, and now he's right on the back of Luke Fitchett, and there is confirmation of that 51.383. And it's been a great performance from Archie O'Brien. Overhaul, potential issue, or maybe even a little fall, but it's not what he would have wanted on the last lap of this race. As your leaders now coming through your picture, it's Luke Fitchett who still leads the way. O'Brien's definitely closed that in. Only half a lap to go. Can O'Brien find something magical through this last sector, find the pace and find the momentum through just one more corner to go? They power it out towards a long sweeping right-hander. Archie O'Brien takes a wider line, tries to get cut back, he goes round the outside, they go to the line, as a drag to the line, but Luke Fitchett wins the race by 97 thousandths of a second, as Archie O'Brien once again breaks the lap record for the 3rd time, and the 2nd time in a row actually, with a 51.543. So Archie O'Brien, Luke Fitchett, what a race. Bill Harris coming home in 3rd. So Bill Harris, great performance once again. Quite an up and down season for him, but he's just starting to find his feet.
Yeah, he is. What a race we've seen between these front two. Luke Fitchett once again a defensive masterclass and extends his championship lead to 69 points. But Archie O'Brien showing that he has got the pace here at Rowrah, at the Cumbria Kart Racing Club. And as he's pointing to something on his looks like his I'm not actually
I believe he's got a picture for the Queen on his front screen of his motorcycle.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, this weekend, while we may be celebrating championships, a sombre occasion, of course, giving the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And if you're tuning in tomorrow, there will be a minute's silence in the morning and that's why the championship celebrations proper will not be taking place until the final round, given the state funeral on Monday. So very nice of Archie O'Brien to show his respects to Her Late Majesty there. But Luke Fitchett extends his championship lead to 69 points. I think that's the real story to take from that one.
So next up we will have the Extreme 200 guys for race 1 for them, and it should be a great race, should be a cracking race. You can see all the riders now making their way into the holding area. So much talent in this field. I mean, we have Phillips Saraviya, Evan Belford, Noah Gilroy, Owen Mellor, Sean Whitaker. So much talent from so many different racing series and different classes that come back here to take place in this championship and just to have some fun on some motorcycles that maybe you won't recognise. I mean, these bikes aren't really used to racing on these circuits. Phillips Saraviya being on Harvey Clarge's bike actually this weekend, so he does have the number 6 in the front instead of his usual number 75, and he's not on his usual KTM 85cc after it sadly blew up and expired on him. But actually, at the back of the field, it looked like Evan Belford was at the back of the field there, so I don't know what's going on there. But Dylan Miller on your screen, 31, and he's running Microwell's levers this weekend. Got given it kindly. Microlee's Creswell levers, he got it from a Talent Cup rider very kindly. But there's Evan Belford at the back of the grid on the 51 and almost ramming into the back of people. Got pole position at Snetterton for the British Talent Cup and was at Clandell last time. Phillips Saraviya actually is down at just not even the second corner, so picking up that bike. Harvey Clarge kindly gave him his bike for this weekend. It's a real mix of motorcycle. It's got bits from Hondas, from KTM's. It's got a bit of everything inside of it, so you really will not want to break that. But Phillips Saraviya back on number 75, still on his levers right now, so heading round to the grid, checking that everything is going to be okay with that bike to hopefully start the race, because Phillips Saraviya was meant to start in pole position, but he's managed to get a bike going again. He's maybe just feeling everything's okay with the brakes, and maybe you might not know himself, it might just be cold tyre, because these bikes, some of them do run slick tyres, and when they're cold it's like riding on ice. It's so strange when they're not up to temperature fully. So Phillips Saraviya came around to the grid now. It looks, I don't know what, he might pull into pit lane, he might start a race. We're going to have to wait and find out, but he will be starting pole position hopefully with Evan Belford alongside him. Noah Gilroy in third with Zach Torine alongside Lucas Brown, and Owen Mellor will be on our third row with Dylan Mellor, his brother, in 7th, with Sean Whitaker in 8th, Matthew Lindley in 9th, Howard Taylor 10th, Chris Wells 11th, and Jake Forster starts 12th. But he will be taking the start in this race. He will be starting in pole position as Phillips Saraviya, who will be making his way to that first place after a crash on the warm-up lap. What is going to happen? Because it looks like our man, Evan Belford, is starting from the back of the grid.
No idea what's going on. Should we just go racing and find out, shall we? Point to the lights. Here we go. Extreme 200, race 1. You know what it's about. Red lights go on. A little bit of a delay, but they get going once again. And it's Saraviya who's actually been done into turn 1 by Zach Torian. Noah Gilroy getting an okay start, but not the best. But it's Zach Torian who actually leads the way. Is that Evan Belford? Already up to P4, I think that is. What? I've got no idea what's going on. We're just going to run with it. Saraviya not looking too fast out there either, as Evan Belford up to P3. Oh, that's a huge shine. Who's that sliding up? Was that Lucas Brown, I think? Sliding up the inside of Saraviya. I think Saraviya may have some problems. And there goes Evan Belford into second. He started from last. What is going on? On the first lap of the Extreme 200s race, that's Zach Torian leading the way. Evan Belford, at his current rate, is going to be leading this race in a minute after starting last. I've got no idea what's going on. Championship leader Philip Saraviya seemingly in the wars. I mean, Evan Belford is kind of in the championship fight. He's within the mathematical limits as he tries to take the lead and does take the lead with a superb move up to P1. Rossi Banham's not here. He's Philip Saraviya's main championship rider. We've got a jump starter Pallery for Noah Gilroy. So Noah Gilroy, who this weekend was realistically Philip Saraviya's biggest championship rival, has got a 3-second jump start penalty. This is the most extreme 200 start to a race I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's been a mental start to the race. Saraviya quite a bit off actually the other riders, and Dylan Miller just following him around. But up front there is the battle for second position. Zach Tureen and Noah Gildery, who got that 3-second penalty. He really has to push hard now. He really has to know that he has that penalty, to push on and push that Mini GP70 to his limits, because this is actually a class that he focuses and he just uses the Mini GP70 for a bit more bike time. But Evan Belford, our race leader and our person with the fastest lap of the race, a 51.175, so a very, very quick lap time, slightly off the lap record though. But Noah Gildery, he's not far off getting that second position, but of course he does have an extra 3 seconds to gain on him. But it's been a great start race. Dylan Miller actually looking to be a retirement right now, potentially. It's not showing that he's set any lap times yet, but great race so far. Saraviya said at the start of the weekend that he's been struggling with the bike because it does have front suspension off a Honda, he does believe, and it's not been working properly the way he wants to do. He can't really get any feedback from the motorcycle, so he's just struggling with that, and he's struggling with the extra power because it's a 105cc. But Evan Belford, a 50.3 fastest lap, once again a 5.5 second lead after starting from the back of the grid. I mean, Evan Belford, take a bow, because before he even got to the first corner he was battling for the likes of 5th and 6th position.
I cannot believe what is going on right now. I mean, Extreme 200 it's a championship. You've got to take every result with a pinch of salt, because it's a championship where riders come and go every single round. I mean, last year Casey O'Gorman showed up for 2 rounds and came second in the championship. It's just crazy stuff. Philip Saraviya is leading the championship for Ross Banham, who's not here. Noah Gillery's in 3rd. Sullivan Mounds is in 4th. He's not here. Evan Belford is looking to gain a huge advantage on the championship, and at his current rate he's going to be gaining massively. I've got no idea what's going on. He is absolutely dominating this race is what's happening. Just to know on Philip Saraviya, I do think he's just struggling with the bike. I mean, obviously it's not his usual wheels as he dives up the inside there. Well, he's actually just sorted his pace out, I think. So actually, I take it back. He's suddenly just hit a huge pace advantage because he actually just got up into 2nd. So never mind. But I just looked out the commentary box window in our international broadcast centre, and the time. Well, when I looked out, he just didn't look that confident turning into the corner. He just looked a little bit hesitant. But now looking at him out the window, he's just back to his normal best. So I've got no idea what's going on with no idea what's going on with Philip Saraviya, because Noah Gildery dives to the inside. That's a super move. Up the inside at the left-hander on Zach Toria. Noah Gildery up into P3. But Philip Saraviya, no idea. Evan Belford, no idea. No idea with Noah Gildery. And yeah, basically, someone's going to win the race and someone's going to get points. We'll get back to the championship later.
Yeah, certainly. Philip Saraviya, I believe maybe even just slightly cold tyres, because he had that crash on the warm-up lap, and then maybe even just that crash might have stuck in his mind and made him go a bit slower the first couple of laps, or he just had to spend the time to warm up his slick tyres, get temperature in them, so he can be able just to get back down to his normal lap times, because he can do quick lap times. He did start in pole position, so maybe just slightly cold tyres from it at the start, and now that they're up at temperature, he's able to put in the laps. As talking about laps, he's just 3/10 off the lap record as Evan Belford. So Evan Belford, he's put in such a great show. Actually, a fun fact about Evan Belford making all the KTM 85cc's is that, of course, he started off their life as a motocrosser and made to ride on dirt. They're not made for these circuits and not made for aerodynamic racing. So what a lot of these riders do, in the likes of Philip Saraviya's 85cc KTM and Evan Belford's, they get the handlebars and put them upside down, so whenever they're on the straights they can get a more aerodynamic and streamlined position for the rider. But Evan Belford leads the way by 9.9 seconds over this man here, Philip Saraviya. So can Phillips catch up? Can Philip put the lap times? Because right now it's Evan Belford who's setting fastest lap after fastest lap.
There is your leader, Evan Belford. About half lap ahead of Saraviya, frankly, isn't he? Let's see what the gap is when Saraviya crosses the line this time. 9.8, so he's taking a 10th out of him. If he keeps going as he does, the gap at the checkered flag will be 9.3 seconds. So Belford needs to have some problems, or Saraviya needs to find about 2 seconds a lap from absolute nowhere. I think it's safe to say that Evan Belford's got this one in the bag pending a disaster. But of course, it's FAB-Racing, it's motorsport, anything can happen. But Philip Saraviya, just really confusing. Obviously, when you're jumping on a new bike, one that you're not used to, especially one that has different forks to the stuff that you're used to, it can be difficult. And I presume that's what happened when he went down on the sighting lap. Just the bike responding in a way he wasn't expecting. But just like midway through the race, something's clicked, and now he's back on pace while Evan Belford's done the last to first. Just bizarre racing. But that's what Extreme 200 is. It's the open pit bike class. It's always bizarre, it's always crazy, and it's always absolutely brilliant. It is some of the best racing that FAB-Racing has on offer, and it's one of the most action-packed, it's one of the most star-studded grids as well. Many former FAB-Racing stars who've gone on to achieve massive things in the world of motorcycle racing come back and, put on a show. I mean, Evan Belford and Philip Saraviya off in the British Talent Cup this year. Evan Belford got pole a few weeks ago, so it's great to see them all back, and many more on this grid today also joined them in the British Talent Cup with 4 laps left to go. That's just the Extreme 200s for you. Sometimes it just serves you absolute chaos and you just take it along for a ride. As actually Evan Belford picking up the front wheel over the curbs. Oh, that was really aggressive, coming through the blind right-hander in P3. The gap is coming down as Philip Saraviya sets a new fastest lap of 49.4. Very fast indeed. Not far off the lap record either, only a few tenths off, but I think it's safe to say with 3 laps left to go, 9 seconds left is the gap. I don't think it's quite coming down enough, Lewis.
Yeah, he's gained back about 9/10 of a second from Evan Belford, but Evan Belford on the 52 put in a great performance so far in this race. Just 3 more laps to go, bouncing over the curbs. You can just see the confidence. They were racing together at Snetterton last weekend, and Philip Saraviya finished 5th and 4th. Evan Belford got that pole position at Snetterton, so it's great to see these riders racing each other, not only at FAB but at the British Talent Cup, and I think that's what gives them so much confidence to be able just to push hell for leather, really, because they race each other week in and week out and all the way going through their careers. So by the time you get to this level in their British Talent Cup careers and in their careers as a motorcycle racer, they've raced with each other for 5 or 6 years, which really gives close racing for us at home and enjoyable racing for us at home. But Philip Saraviya, I think it was just a mix of everything, mix of a new bike and a mix of potentially even cold tyres, that as soon as he got up to temperature, he was able to put in his normal lap times. But Evan Belford setting his personal best lap of the race last time round, coming across the line now, and he sets a 49.2, so he's just 1/10 off the lap record. He has 1 more lap to try and get the lap record, but of course they will have 2 races tomorrow. Evan Belford now on the last lap, just got past some lap traffic going on to the start-finish straight, chattering away is that motorcycle, it's protesting away as he tries to get everything tucked in. You can just see it when he shifts gears, he has to take out his leg a little bit just to get that thing shifted. But Evan Belford leading the way. The number 52 at 49.2 is his best lap. Coming across the final sector now, across the cement dust, he will go, shooting out with just 1 more corner to go with a little wheelie out there. 1 long right-hander towards the line. The checker flag will wave. He wheelies across the line, takes the race win. Is Evan Belford waiting now? We are for Philip Saraviya, number 75 on Harvey Claridge's bike. He comes across the line now, and it's a 9.2 second gap at the line. Noah Gilray should come home in 3rd, but wow, what a ride that was from the back of the grid.
That was phenomenal from Belford, but I just want to wait and see what the gap is for Gilray. Of course, he's got a 3-second penalty for a jump start, so he needs to be in front of Zach Torian by at least 3 seconds. And Gilray has now crossed the line, and yep, so Gilray will maintain in P3. So that is crucial for the championship for Noah Gilray if he wants to stay in this fight. But it's Evan Belford with an absolutely phenomenal ride, as you said, Lewis, from the back of the grid. He dominates the Extreme 200s Race 1 with a huge victory. Philip Saraviya, after early struggles, managed to fight his way back into a very nice 2nd place, with Noah Gilray holding on to 3rd despite that penalty. Zach Torian is in P4 with Lucas Brown in P5, Owen Mellor is P6, Sean Whittaker P7, Matthew Lee P8, Howard Taylor P9 and Jake Forster in P10.
Yeah, great race there for the Extreme 200 guys. Evan Belford taking the race lead and taking the race win after starting at the back of the grid, but it's just shown how impressive he is as a rider, British Talent Cup rider, and he's definitely a talent to look out for the future of British motorcycle racing and British motorsport. So that was the Extreme 200s race 1. What a race that was, and definitely one to look out for with 2 races left tomorrow. Race 2 time for the LC40 Elite class, the premier class for mini motor racing in the UK. And alongside me for this race is a familiar face, and one that you may have just seen on track a couple of moments ago. It's Archie O'Brien, and last year's champion in the LC40 Elites. Archie, how are you after your race?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. It was a really good race with Luke. I nearly got into the line, but he rode fantastically all the way through, and hoping for some more good racing in the wet tomorrow.
Yeah, potential of wet conditions tomorrow with rain forecasted. Over a 60% chance of rain tomorrow, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But we're just waiting for these guys to head out on the warm-up lap, and as we do, Archie, how was it riding in the Mini GP70s? Because we've seen you having a small mechanical failure, it looked like, stopping at the side of the track and looking very disappointed. How are you after that?
Yeah, I've recovered quite well and put the mindset back where it should be, because the front brake failed, so unfortunately it was better to pull over than rather keep on going, because it could have been like it happened at Landau with Harry Payne, which is a terrible accident.
Yeah, it certainly was. And talking about this race, Byron Johnson will be starting in pole position with Finlay Paul Hill alongside him. Austin Johnson, his older brother, will be starting in third with Jensen Bishop in fourth. Edward Darnton will be starting in fifth with Coy Gleason alongside. Matthew Thomas will be starting seventh with Sam Garner eighth. Rex Austin and Bradley Curtis will be on our fifth row of the grid. Cal Maxwell and Dylan Tureen in 11th and 12th, with George Ackerman and Oliver Hall rounding off our grid. So the LC40 Elite class, you won it yourself last year. It's a great class to be in. So who would you say is the people to watch?
Definitely both of the Johnson brothers, because they love to battle on track, but also watch out for Finlay Polhill, because he always has a bit of good race pace, which he could show, but it depends on if Byron gets away on the line. If he does, I think he'll manage to get a little bit of a gap and then control it from there.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and find out. Riders now heading their way onto the grid before the lights go on, and then very swiftly they will go out and we can get underway for race 1 of the LC40 Elite class, a mix of air and liquid cooled motorcycles here. You can just see the front row of your grid, Byron Johnson and Finlay Polhill alongside him. Finlay Polhill looking very, very racy. They look towards the lights, the revs well built, and Sam Garner goes off the grid, but the race still gets underway. It's Polhill who leads the way, and it looks like Austin Johnson's got ahead of Byron going into turn 1. Austin Johnson straight away trying to find a way past Finlay Polhill. Further down the field you can just see Coy Gleason trying to make a move into the hairpin, but coming out of the hairpin it's going to be Finlay Polhill from second position who leads the way. It looks like an issue actually for Byron Johnson, so Byron Johnson going very, very slow.
Yeah, unfortunately that seems like a mechanical failure, which the Johnson brothers are quite prone to, but he seems to be going again and he seems to be flying up the grid quite well, so we'll see how he manages to recover. But the battle is on these two at the front as Austin Johnson goes up the inside, but Finlay Polhill covers it off.
Yeah, Finlay Polhill covers it off, and he covers it off very, very well, going across the cement dust they do now, and it's been a great start to this race. Now it's really going to have to wait and see what Byron Johnson can do for having that mechanical failure. Just like a small mechanical blip, but now his head's back in the game, and it's really a question of will that happen again. It didn't happen in the important race, the AC40 Pros, as now it looks like Austin Johnson just trying to find a way past. There's so much hairpins around this Rowrah circuit. What's it like to ride?
It's very difficult if you miss your braking marker, because then it not only compromises your exit, but you lose tons of time because they lead onto really long straights. But I think Edward Darnton had a bit of a moment coming out of the chicane because he had both of his legs off of the bike, so we'll see if he's still okay. I think he is. Seems to be still circulating. So.
Yeah, Austin Johnson now taking the race lead there from Finlay Paul Hill, but quite a few Scottish riders coming down this weekend to Rowrah as Austin Johnson almost swipes off the front end of Finlay Paul Hill, trying his best to defend. There was two lines merging into one. A battle is on our hands here for the LC40 Elite class. It's such a fast class. You've raced it yourself. The liquid cooled motorcycles, what are these bikes like to race?
They're really fun and enjoyable to ride, but you've always got to be careful on the throttle because even though they're just little mini motors, they will spit you off and bite you. But I think Byron Johnson has just set the fastest lap of the race and he's right on Chloe Gleason's tail now, so maybe he might be able to recover a podium position.
Yeah, that'll be a great recovery for him. I don't know if he'll be able to catch these front two. Maybe if they start fighting and just slowing each other down, getting each other's way and interrupting their flow. But yeah, he's already got past Chloe Gleason into that third position, into that podium position. So it's a great ride for him. Already in third place, just past Chloe Gleason. There is Byron Johnson coming through your picture and coming through to make it 5 laps to go in this race, 6 laps to go in this race, and also having the best lap of the race. Byron Johnson, a 53.535, fastest lap of the race, and it's so impressive. A little bit of it, just over a second off the lap record, and it's so quick. The LC40 Elite class this year, and Byron Johnson's pace. We've just seen him won the AC40 Pro Championship.
Yeah, he obviously managed to wrap up the title, and he seems to be closing in really quickly on the front two because he was 1.1 seconds quicker than them last time around. But I think the lap times me and Archie Gibbs were doing last year around here were like in the 52-second barrier. So he's still lapping really respectively, and I think Austin Johnson's just getting a tiny little gap, but I think Finlay will be able to pull it back in as we see what Byron Johnson can do across the line. A 53.250. He's just absolutely flying out there.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's going so quick. 5 laps going. He is catching the leaders now with just a 1.4 second gap out the line last time around to Finlay Paul Hill. So we're going to have to keep an update on that one. But Finlay Paul Hill trying to fight any way past. Austin Johnson's doing a great job at defending, but you just have to think if maybe they're slowing each other down. They're almost equal in pace, both of them doing about mid 54 seconds, while Byron Johnson's doing low 53s. So it's almost just a game of cat and mouse, and it's going to have to wait and see. Once Byron Johnson catches up, will he be able to almost get past him and see if they can stick with him and maybe even force them into a mistake? Because going into the LC40 round, it was a Johnson 1-2, Austin leading Byron by 70 points. So this championship could also be wrapped up this weekend, and you've been in them shoes yourself. What is it like leading a championship? Because now we can see Austin Johnson being put under pressure from Finlay Paul Hill and Byron, because Byron now looks like he's in second place. So second place already for Byron Johnson. Can he get ahead of his brother? Almost identical bikes. Only thing different is the number on them. It's quite difficult to watch sometimes, but going around the outside is Byron ahead of his brother Austin. So Austin now demoted to second place with Byron. An incredible ride. But as I was mentioning, you've been in this position yourself, been leading a championship. How do you keep yourself calm?
You've just got to take it race by race and not worry about the championship, especially because he's got such a big lead. He just needs to focus on winning races. But I think Byron Johnson, he has really good pace, so he might be able to pull away here as he does a 53.4, which again is nearly a second a lap quicker than anybody else on track. But he obviously does have a weight advantage on the other two because he's considerably lighter. But I personally know the two brothers, and the deal is if Byron wins the race over Austin, they have to weight his bike so it's the same weight to Austin, so then it's more of a fair race. But I still think Finlay Paul, who's going to try look at Austin Johnson as they now come up. Yeah, it is very, very impressive from Byron Johnson out front, but he's caught up to Callum Maxwell in quite an awkward position here. And is he going to be able to get past cleanly? Oh, Austin Johnson, he takes advantage of the back markers and he goes up the inside, but Byron Johnson manages to keep ahead here in the LC40 race with 2 laps to go. Let's see if Austin Johnson can make an attack. He's got a really good exit here. Can he make a move on the brakes? No, Byron Johnson is superior, but he runs deep. And Finley Polehill might be able to get past. No, not quite. Byron Johnson has the straight line speed, but I think now it's going to be a battle between if Austin can keep it on the road, which sometimes he struggles to. But I think he's going to be able to maybe fend Byron Johnson off, but I'm not quite sure because Byron, as we saw earlier, he has incredible pace.
Yeah, he certainly does. It's great to see. It's great to see such a close battle. But yeah, we can see Byron Johnson still trying his hardest and trying just to put on that pressure on his brother. Whether you're in front or behind, you can still put on pressure by trying to edge out the lead, but it's last lap time and it's still a three-way battle for the race lead. Austin leading Byron, leading Finley Polehill. They come towards George Ackerman now, the number 94. Where will they catch him? Coming out the corner, it looks like they just need to try and not get held up. Both the Johnson brothers haven't, but what will it be for Finley Polehill? Has he managed to get past? Yes, he has. 1 lap to go in this race. It's been such a short but sweet race for the LC40 Elite guys. 9 laps in a race, but Austin Johnson still showing his way to his younger brother Byron, another back marker Dylan Tureen, but it looks like they're going round the outside of him, and they have. Both Johnson brothers getting through cleanly. Finley Polehill having to compromise his line, but Austin Johnson now still in that race lead from Byron. Who is it going to be? Byron taking a far wider line, trying to get the undercut, coming out the corner. They take the checker flag, and it's Austin Johnson who takes the win from Byron Johnson and Finley Polehill rounding off our podium. What a race that was. And all I can say is, Archie, if you ever need a job anywhere, you can be a great commentator as well as a racer. But the gap now in the championship from Austin and Byron is 75 points.
Yeah, so that just means that Austin just needs to keep ahead of him in the next 2 races and he is champion, or either they both just don't score points, which I don't think they will do because they're both hungry for the wins. But Austin Johnson, he had a very defensive line into the final turn, and it worked out because Byron tried to get the switch back, but he couldn't quite, as he tries to do a little wheelie there, and it's quite a good job because they're quite difficult to wheelie.
Yeah, they are, and it's great to see. Waving to the crowd now as we await to see our race result. But it was great. It was great, Archie. You know, it's been a great race. You can see now they're still wheeling the bikes and very little power on them.
Yeah, there is a lot of power. But the people that managed to keep on to the power are Austin Johnson in first, Byron Johnson in second, just a 10th behind, with Finley Polehill half a second behind in the end, Chloe Gleeson in fourth, Jensen Bishop in fifth, Edward Darnton in sixth, Matthew Thomas in seventh, Bradley Curtis in eighth, Rex Austin in ninth, and Dylan Terrain in 10th, rounding out the top 10 in a very respectable ride.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great race. And Archie, one question I want to ask you just before you head off: will we be able to see your first race win this weekend in the Mini GP 50s?
We'll see. I'm not quite sure yet.
What do you think yourself? What do you think you have to do to be able just to clinch that?
Maybe I just need to be a bit more aggressive on my overtakes, but I think tomorrow in the wet, if it is wet, it's going to be a different story completely. But we just got to keep trying to pressure him, and hopefully he'll make a mistake or we can come through.
Yeah, look, Fitch being a great defender. He's so difficult to get past. But yeah, it was a great race for the LC40 Elite guys as we wait for our next race to get underway. The next race that will get underway will be the senior mini motos, and great having Archie there doing a great job on track and off track as usual. But senior mini moto time, big riders, little bikes, race 1 time here at Rowrah.
And it's all open in the senior mini motos as well, because there's no Will Howarth out after doing his back in, to put it mildly, at the last round at Glandau in a quite spectacular accident. So now it is wide open for the Birkin boys, Matt and Josh. They're the only people still in this championship mathematically. If Will was here, it would probably have been wrapped up this weekend, but he's not here, he's out, and obviously we're hoping he'll be back for Red Lodge. But Matt and Josh, if they played their cards right, well, the gap to Matt Birkin is 103 points from Will Howarth. The gap to Josh Birkin, 135. They can close that down massively. It will be Josh Birkin alongside Matt Birkin. They make up the front row of the grid, the two brothers. I'm sure they'll try to be sensible for once in their lives, with Craig Asher from P3 and Nick Bennett from P4. Reece Gentry starts in P5 with David Myatt in P6. Holly Harris, British Talent Cup rider, she starts P7. She'll be looking to move forward. Had a few good results in this class this year, with Keita Payne in P8. Chris Yeomans and George Rennicks round out the top 10 with Mark Payne and Callum White on row 6. And then it's Alberto Venteo, Shannon King and Rob Gentry, your 15 riders for the senior mini motos race 1. And the temperature, I tell you, it has dropped. The wind has picked up. It's going to be tough for these guys out there. And, well, they're going to have to put in a good effort, but these senior mini-motos races, they're always crazy. They always provide the action. And the two Birkin boys, well, this is going to be interesting to see what they do to them, because all the attention's on them for this, and they are the only riders on the grid still within a mathematical chance of pipping Will Howarth to the championship. They've got to play their cards right. Normally they're going to and fro, they're crashing into each other. Usually one of them ends up on the deck somehow, and there's always great fighting at the front. But I think this one, they've got to take it sensibly, Lewis.
Yeah, I think they might. It's a Birkin front row of the grid. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens. They're going to have to use their heads and just almost can work together and just try and get away from the likes of Nick Bennett and Craig Asher, because there's so many fast riders. 15 riders on this grid, all of them with a potential chance of the win, to be honest. It's so close. But here we go for the senior mini motos. We wait for the lights to go on, and then they go off straight away. They kick off the line, and it's going to be the number 2 of Josh Birkin leading the way at the first turn. His brother Matt closely behind Nick Bennett in third, but big crash there. Nick Bennett, one of the riders down there, and I believe Shannon King as well, involved in that crash, but they've all managed to get up and get the bike off the track straight away. Most of them rejoining in this race, but up front still a Birkin 1-2, but it's going to be a potential change in the lead, with Matt Birkin wanting to try and take the race lead, as he does down the inside. Nick Bennett is there in third, waiting and trying to pounce.
Might not be so easy for the Birkins then, as Matt takes the lead from Josh, but Nick Bennett, what an opening lap he's had, absolutely flying along. Behind him as well, Craig Asher. Reece Gentry got a great start. He's just at the back of your shot now in P5, and we've just had Reece Gentry in our ears. Well, actually, it doesn't surprise me looking at the start he got. Actually had a jump start. He's got a 3-second penalty, so Reece Gentry problems there for him. And it's David Myatt in P4 there as well. A great start for him as well from P6. I'm going to go to a few really strong starts and a jump start for Reece Gentry as well. But we've seen a few of those today, actually. Hopefully they stop into the future, but it's the Birkins now starting to pull a bit of a gap. And I think my suspicions have been confirmed, because despite the fact that Mike took the lead with a very aggressive move, look at them, they're riding sensibly. They're not pushing it to the absolute limit. They're just keeping it calm, keeping it casual. They know they can take this championship down to the final round. They know there's no Will Howarth. This is a massive opportunity for the pair of them. They have to maximise their points this week.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Josh and Matt Birkin, though, that we are talking about, so anything can happen. Fast lap of the race was Matt Birkin with a 56.266. So a great lap time for a senior mini moto round here. Lap record is held by Will Howarth, who of course is not here. But the Birkins now have started to edge away with 7 laps to go. What will Josh Birkin be able to do on his brother? His brother Matt has a little look behind him. 7 laps to go in this race. Nick Bennett still sitting there comfortably in the 711 in third place on that final podium position, with David Myatt and Craig Asher just behind. But believe Josh Birkin coming back from an arm injury after having a massive crash on the last lap of a race at Wilton Mill, actually. Clay Pigeon, final race of the weekend, having a little crash. So Nick Bennett there having a little twitch of the front wheel, potentially even losing the front for just a split second, because these riders are so heavy and really pushing the tyres and the bikes to their limits.
And David Myatt to the outside there, superb move round the outside. Oh no, runs a little bit wide, loses the momentum down the track from Craig Ashall, who gets through. So Craig Ashall up into P4, and more changes up the front as Josh Birkin slides on through but runs wide on corner exit. So it's still Matt that leads the way, but they're neck and neck on the run into the right-hander. It's still Matt that leads this race, but Josh now getting the run on that number 2 machine. These two are neck and neck. I'm sure there's two big smiles under those helmets, but at the back of their minds they're thinking, we cannot afford to do anything silly in this race, as Josh takes lead again. Josh missing out a round a few rounds ago after that injury he sustained at Clay Pigeon, missing out the Wilton Mill round, so he's dropped back in points. If they are playing this smart, Matt should let Josh win this race, because Josh needs more points than Matt in order to close in and give them both a championship chance moving into the final round. So it's now Josh leading from Matt and P3 Nick Bennett. Nick Bennett's actually dropped back. It's Craig Ashall in P3. Yeah. Oh, so problems for Nick Bennett.
Yeah, Craig Ashall get up into P3. Nick Bennett dropping down the order right now. So not what he's won. But Rhys Gentry in 6th position. Obviously does have that jump start, but he was involved in that crash at the start of the race. So good that he's already got back up the order. But yeah, both the Birkin brothers, they're just playing about with each other over the start finish line, coming down back straights. They're just signalling to each other, making little hand gestures, trying to wind each other up, they'll be laughing about underneath their helmets about this whole situation. But Josh Birkin showing Matt the way. I do not think they're going to give each other any room. Although the championship may be on the line, Josh and Matt still just want to beat each other and still want bragging rights for the way home, as Matt almost went into the back of Josh there. That's so lucky to not hit into them. But Matt Birkin trying to push on that number 5, 0.2 of a second of a gap at the line last time around from his brother Josh, as now they're coming across some back markers. I believe that's Keaton Payne that are just trying to find a way past Holly Harris, also a retirement to the race now, I believe. So coming across the line, it's so close. These guys are not giving each other an inch.
Super aggressive defending there from Matt Birkin, or Josh Birkin rather. Matt in chase, doing all he can, but again, the racing part of me, wants them to go for it. It wants us to have a great show, but the one that wants this championship to go down and wants these two to get into that championship fight is just going, calm down, guys, come on. And I think, at the moment, I think the racer in them is winning in this battle. I think sensibility is about to go out the window. A glance back there from Josh with 3 laps to go, as there's some action further back in the pack as well, as we see some fighting further down. Chris Yeomans and that is Alberto Venteo having a bit of a do, as actually Venteo has been done by Chris Yeomans on this lap. So Yeomans didn't get the best of starts, unfortunately. Would have liked a little bit better, dropping from P9 further down the order. I think he may have just been caught up in that opening lap incident, just trying to avoid it. But he's working his way back up the field now, back through Alberto Venteo. And now back to the lead battle. It's Birkin against Birkin. It's brother against brother. It's Josh leading from Matt. The 2 from the 5. Nothing to separate them, as Matt has a little look into the right-hander, decides against it, probably dives up the inside into the left-hander. That's a superb move from Matt Birkin, but he runs wide. Can Josh fight back? No. Matt Birkin, with 2 laps to go on the line, takes the lead of the race as he did at the start, but Josh with an awesome run out of the final corner. He'll have the inside into turn 1. He'll have the lead into turn 1. This is going to go all the way down to the final corner, isn't it? Just be sensible, boys, please. Josh Birkin putting in an awesome display at the moment, but Matt is giving him no space, nothing between them. It is ridiculously close out there between these two, and I can tell you they're having a lot of fun. The brotherly rivalry, it's not aggression, it is just it's almost them just messing around, having a good weekend away. But as Josh leads Matt with 1.5 laps to go, it's anybody's guess who's going to come away on top in this race.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. Josh now leading Matt, and Josh trying to keep that race win, trying to get them valuable 25 points, although Matt is higher up in the championship. Josh is thinking about himself here. The Birkin brothers from Buxton, 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go now though as he crossed the line. Josh, fastest lap of the race, a 56 dead. That is a great great lap time, just half a second off the lap record. But Josh, he's pushing the bike to the limit. He's using all the curb, using all the track and some. But Josh Birkin, fastest lap of the race, and the race leader with 1 lap to go. You can just see there's confirmation of that fastest lap, half a second off the lap record. So they're really pushing on here on this Saturday afternoon here in Cumbria. But Matt Birkin, he's giving it his all. He's giving it everything. He's trying to wind up a move with half a lap to go. The number 5, will they give us a grandstand finish? Let's wait and find out. He's so fast through this flip-flop. Matt Birkin, though, he's going to have to try more than this with 1 corners to go. He's going to need a miracle. He's going to need some pace, because Josh Birkin sees the checker flag and takes the race win from his brother Matt. Matt Birkin gets a 55.7, 2 tenths off the lap record. So he pushed on that last lap, but it was too little, too late. Craig Ashall should come home in third, but there's Rhys Gentry coming round the final corner now from Nick Bennett just behind him. But Craig Ashall coming home in that final podium position. David Myatt 4th and Rhys Gentry 5th. But wow, what a race that was from the Birkin brothers.
That was unbelievable action from start to finish as they both give a synchronised wave to the camera. And it's Josh who takes victory there, and importantly, the maximum points from this race, and brings it down to 100 points between himself and Will Howarth. Well, Matt brings it down to 83 points between himself and Will Howarth. But what a race we've just seen. Josh Birkin there capitalising and taking maximum points, with his brother Matt close behind in P2. Craig Ashall into P3 with David Myatt and P4. Rhys Gentry finishes off P5 on the road, but if I remember correctly, he's got a 3-second jump start penalty, so I'm not sure where he'll finish in reality. I think it'll be P6. It'll be Nick Bennett who finished P6 on the road with P5. Callum White gets P7, George Rennickson 8th, with Chris Yeomans and Alberto Venteo rounding out your top 10. That's it for the first race of the Senior Mini Motos, but don't worry, plenty more action to look forward to tomorrow, and not just with the Senior Mini Motos, but with all the categories. We've still got all of our race 2s and race 3s to look forward to, with a little bit of rain potentially in the air as well. It's all to play for, and with no Will Howarth, it's Birkin's capitalising, Birkin's gaining, and Birkin's looking to take it to the final round.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. It's been a great race one, but as you said, 2 races to go tomorrow as we look towards another first race of the weekend.
Mini F1 sidecars getting ready to make their way out onto the grid. And this weekend, Mick Williams can clinch the championship if it goes his way. But the Green Streets qualifying in P2, they're going to be mounting a challenge, as they always do. 79 points is the gap at the moment. 75 points is the advantage that Mick Williams and the 26 machine have to have over the Green Streets come the end of this weekend if they want to take the championship this weekend. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, but it will be Mick Williams starting from the pole on the Green Streets alongside them. Once again, championship contenders starting alongside each other on the front row. We've been seeing that all day long, which is just brilliant to see. Makes them a very interesting race starts, to say that much, as we wait to go out on the sighting lap. Of course, Mick Williams with that 2-stroke, Green Street with that 4-stroke, 2 very different sidecars. Of course, all the sidecars custom built by the teams in the Mini F1 Sidecars Championship. Mick Williams, the dominant force in sidecar racing, Mini F1 sidecar racing, that is, in the UK for a long time now. But the Green Streets have been their biggest challenge on the 26 for some time. So we wait to see, getting underway on the formation lap, it will be the 26 of Mick Williams starting from the pole. The Green Streets and the 90 machine going from P2. Chris Impey in the 457, they're going from P3, with Vince Bailey on the 369 in P4. And then rounding out the grid is the 127 of John Hosker and the 230 of Mark Parker. Only 6 sidecars here today at Rowrah. Unfortunately, the Keatsmobile, the 666, the aggressive sidecars, we like to call it, they are a no-show, which is a shame. But of course, it's all eyes on those front 2, all eyes on Mick Williams and Jason Greenstreet. What can they do? Can the Green Streets close the gap and bring it down to the final race, or can Mick Williams do it again? I mean, Mick Williams, again, he took all 3 race wins here last year. He also took every race win of the season, but don't let that mistake you. He was still a very, very strong performance from the 26 outfit here last year. The conditions are much colder this time round, much more windier, much more overcast. So we're going to have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Hello and welcome if you're just joining us here from Rowrah, round 7 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship at the Cumbria Kart Club. It's been a great day's racing so far, and we're looking to have a few more fantastic races. The race one of the Mini F1 sidecars as they make their way onto the grid. The Green Street's taking it nice and slow, just want to get into the slot, get into the zone. We know they have laser sharp commitment, laser sharp focus. Let's put now all the sidecars in place as we wait for the lights. We're underway. It's a great start from the Green Streets. Oh! Was there a problem further back of the Green Streets despite their strong start? Falling back to Mick Williams, who in that second phase just shot off into the lead, and actually the 457 of Impey gets through as well. I think Mark Parker didn't get away there at the start. Or was it John Hosker maybe? So I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but look at the gap that Mick Williams has already. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a big gap already. It's a very, very dominant performance. I believe that might have been Vince Bailey who just couldn't get away on that 369 sidecar. So we're just going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. But the 457 of Chris Impey leads the Green Streets through, and the leads from what is a very, very known site in Mini F1 sidecar racing. That is Mick Williams leading the way. But the number 90 of the Green Streets trying to get past, potentially even get held up here. This is crucial moment for the race and for their championship. Heading into this round, it was just a 79-point gap, so the championship could be wrapped up this weekend for Mick Williams. But we're just going to have to wait and see what's going to happen as we come across the line now. Chris Impey in second position, sets the fastest lap of the race, and now makes a mistake, pushing too hard. But I believe, that was Vince Bailey who couldn't get the bike off the line.
Yeah, Chris Impey just up on two wheels there. Disappointed with the passenger, shaking their head, just popping up and losing the time. So the Green Streets get back through, which is crucial for them. Mick Williams, though, already nearly a 4-second lead after just one lap. That is monumental. But the Green Streets in P2, I think that's going to have to be the best they hope for this race. And then they're just going to have to challenge in race 2 and 3 tomorrow again. There is the potential for rain. We know the 26 is not the best in the rain, to put it mildly. We know Mick Williams doesn't like it in the wet. We know the sidecar doesn't like it in the wet either. So we'll have to wait and see how that's all going to unfold. But right now we're going to focus on race 1 as Impey falls even further back behind Mark Parker now on the 270. As the Green Streets shoot away into second. Mick Williams with the fastest lap there, 1 minute 0.1, and the Green Streets 3 seconds a lap slower that time. The gap is already 7 seconds. As again running wide through the opening section, Chris Impey. They get through, but at what cost as they run wide again? Impey's it's fast, but it's all over the place. It's not efficient, I'll say that much, but there's still all 3 wheels on the track at the moment, still 2 individuals on that sidecar, and they're still running, so that's the main thing, with 4 laps left to go. But what could have been? They were running in P2, now down into they're into P3 now after getting past Mark Parker. But that's it's an interesting strategy, I'll say that much.
Yeah, Mick Williams though up front, a 6.9 second gap now, but Chris Impey, they look quite erratic today, and it's something that we don't normally see from them, and that is quite a lot of mistakes. The 230 of Mark Parker dropping back to 4th place, but John Hosker on the 127 having a pretty good weekend in 5th place at the moment. But Mick Williams up front has the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute flat. I mean, it's a great lap time from them. A 9-second lead they've got from that lap time. 2 seconds faster, 2.2 seconds faster than the Green Streets. So nobody can stop Mick Williams on that number 26 Red Bull outfit but themselves, pending a disaster. 3 laps to go. What is going to happen?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's not all done until the checkered flag waves and the fat lady sings. And we've seen issues before late into the race for Mick Williams this season. So we'll just have to wait and see if he's able to hold on to lead. Maybe the Green Streets discover 5 seconds a lap. Who knows? Everything is possible in Mini F1 sidecars, believe me. If this is your first time watching FAB-Racing, if this is your first time watching Mini F1 sidecars, it is a real art form. All of these sidecars custom built by the teams. I mean, sidecar racing in itself is just crazy. Make the sidecars a million times smaller and it's just insane what these guys are out there doing, all custom built, you know, on tracks that, you know, obviously very narrow, not a lot of runoff, and well, just going for it. And again, these things are very temperamental at the best of times as well. Reliability is a major factor in this series and in this championship. But with 2 laps to go, realistically 1.5 laps left to go, it's still Mick Williams dominating. 10.1 seconds was the gap at the line last time. The Green Streets just looking to pick up some solid points and then maybe hopefully close the gap in race 2 and 3 later on. Well, if we finish as we do now, if race 2 and 3 weren't run, Mick Williams has the championship in the bag. Again, I've been saying it all day, but 75 points is the magic number as we begin the final lap of the race. That is the amount of points that you need to be ahead of your rivals coming out of this weekend in order to clinch the championship before we even get to the final round at Red Lodge. So, well, Mick Williams, he's currently on track to do that, but of course still 2 races to go. The Green Streets still have the opportunity to put in a mega stint and close the gap back down. But once again, it's been a phenomenal performance from this number 26 squad. Mick Williams at the handlebars has been absolutely ferocious. We know he loves Rowrah. A lot of riders do. It is a great circuit. It's well loved by the FAB-Racing paddock, and this is no exception for Mick Williams as he enters the final section for the final time. It has been a brilliant performance, and as he comes through his awkward flip-flop and into the final corner for the final time, it's not quite one hand on the trophy, but they are certainly reaching for it. The number 26 machine, it's Mick Williams with yet another victory in the Mini F1 sidecars, and they inch ever closer to yet another championship in this category. The Green Streets will bring it home in P2, and their championship hopes still alive for the time being. Further back though, fighting for P3, it's Impey and Parker all the way to the line. Who's it going to be? Impey with the advantage. Glancing back comes the passenger. Does Parker get the inside line? It's going to be a drag race to the line. It's just Impey onto the podium at the line, separated by 1/10 of a second. Wow, that is insanely close. But it is the 26. It is Mick Williams who edge ever closer to destiny, edge ever closer to another Mini F1 sidecar championship. I've lost count of how many they've taken at this point. The Green Streets, though, not all hope is lost. There is still a mathematical chance for them to take this to the final round. We just have to wait and see.
Coming up next, we will have our final race of the day. That means the final race 1 of the weekend. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you if you're just joining us. Don't worry, you've not missed all the action yet. There's still some action to go today. It's going to be a cracking race. It's been cracking racing so far this weekend. It's a cracking racetrack that we are at. It's so picturesque and it produces some great racing. But now it is time for race 1 for the Pit Bike 140. It's the final weekend for Taylor Lawrence, and it's a farewell tour, I think it's fair to say, as the riders now come out to the dummy grid before we can start to get this race underway for what is going to be a great race 1 for these guys. It's such a big field, 18 bikes for these guys, but Taylor Lawrence putting down his bike, having a little laugh, maybe checking his grid position is correct with the start marshal. But great talent in this field as usual. And there is Taylor Lawrence, his bright green levers, still playing at grid slots. Maybe he might even be in the wrong one. But now we're waiting to see what's going to happen. Still pointing, I think, they must be having some sort of laugh at the grid.
Yeah, they probably are. All the pit bike guys get along. Of course, Rossi Banham already wrapping up the championship. Such has been his dominance this season. As we get underway on the formation lap, it's time to go through the grid.
Yeah, it's going to be Taylor Lawrence starting on pole position alongside Lucas Brown. Reece Peacock, though, our championship contender, who has to, for that second position, really has to just claw back and just try and keep hold of that position in third, with Owen Mellor after a great qualifying in fourth. Chris Wells will be starting in fifth with Jamie King, previous Pit Bike 140 champion.
Down!
Oh, that is Dylan Mellor, who's crashed on the warm-up lap there, so not what he's wanting, but Jamie King starts in sixth, and Dylan Mellor starts in seventh after crashing on that warm-up lap. But Liam Wood will be starting 8th, with Zach Tureen 9th, Sean Whitaker 10th, Darren Anderson, after having a great morning and afternoon on that moto team bike, will be starting on 11th, with Matthew Lindley 12th, Chadley Whitley will be starting 13th, Elliot Crosby alongside him in 14th, Roger Monks and Keaton Payne will be starting on the 8th row of the grid, with Dave Glover and Paul Noza will be starting 18th. But Dylan Tureen is out the race before it's even started.
Wow, what a shame there for Dylan Mellor. Out of the race before it even begins. Problems for him, but we instead switch our attention. It's race 1 of the Pit Bike 140s. It's red light on, it's red light off. It's a fantastic start for Taylor Lawrence in his final FAB-Racing weekend. He inherits the lead straight away from the pole position, with Reece Peacock in turn. Reece Peacock challenging behind and actually up the inside. There he goes, and through he goes. Well, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Further back, there's action all throughout the field. And it's actually Lucas Brown that's taken the lead. I do apologise. So Lucas Brown into the lead again. Lucas Brown and Reece Peacock still fighting for that second place in the championship after Rossi Banham wrapped it up in the last round. Rossi Banham has swept the last 5 rounds in a row, and then he's not here this weekend, which is a bit boring, isn't it? But I'm sure he'll be back for Red Lodge. But it's all eyes on P2 in the championship, and all eyes on Taylor Lawrence in his final FAB-Racing event before he goes off and joins the Navy. Of course, the 2021 Pit Bike 140 champion, an all-round top lad and a great rider. As that we complete the first lap, it will be Lucas Brown leading the way from Taylor Lawrence, from Chris Wells in P3 and Reece Peacock in P4, and Liam Wood and Jamie King swapping places on that lap as well. Of course, Jamie King looking for a podium this weekend on his new CW motor. Have to see how he fares, but it's Lucas Brown that leads the way. But Taylor Lawrence, those front two starting to bolt away from the pack, but Taylor Lawrence is pretty close to the back of the number 7.
Yes, it's the battle for that 3rd position at the moment. Chris Wells in 3rd place on the number 62, with Reece Peacock diving down the inside on the 29. Reece Peacock 2nd in the championship. He isn't, and 3rd on the road he is right now. But Jamie King, as you mentioned, wants that podium position, and he's just at the back of this pack. This is the pack for that 3rd position. This is where Jamie King wants to be. He can just sit there and play about for 10 laps and then try and pounce and make his way through the field. But Reece Peacock in that 3rd position now, as Lucas Brown up front on that number 7 leads the way with the fastest lap of the race, with a 52.804 and 4 tenths faster than Taylor Lawrence. But Chris Wells starting to get dropped down the order. Liam Wood finding the way past. Maybe just maybe this is going to help Jamie King catch up and just be able to get past them. 9 laps to go in this race, and further down the field, Darren Anderson has made his way up into 8th position past Sean Whitaker. But there's Reece Peacock in that final podium position. He was actually racing scooters last weekend, so slightly different this weekend, slightly faster and a sprint race style, because last weekend it was an endurance race at Teesside. So a 6-hour race this weekend, a 12 lap shootout here.
Yeah, it's all to play for up the front. Lucas Brown and Taylor Lawrence only separated by 3 tenths of a second. Reece Peacock in 3rd. He's got a bit of a gap behind to Chris Wells, but of course this is a disaster for Reece Peacock, frankly, because he's in this fierce fight with Lucas Brown for 2nd in the championship. Only 23 points separating them coming into this round. That gap is going to disappear if they all finish where they are now, with 8 laps left to run. As there we see Chris Wells currently running P4, holding off Liam Wood, holding off Jamie King. He was also racing scooters last week at Teesside. Clearly, pit bike guys have a thing for scooter endurance racing. Jamie King wasn't, though, so at least there's someone sensible in the paddock. But there we see Chris Wells leading Liam Wood, leading 3-time pit bike champion Jamie King. Of course, Jamie on that new CW motor, which has been running for a few rounds now, starting to get to grips with it. He says he's really comfortable on the bike now, and he's looking to start moving back forward after a few years of perhaps not quite the performances that he would have wanted, not quite getting the results that he would have wanted, even though they were always strong. Jamie King is now ready to go and challenge for championships once again, but of course he can't challenge for this one. Rossi Banham's already wrapped it up, so 2023 perhaps, Jamie, but he's still on the tail of this battle for 4th, as running very wide there is Chris Wells, and almost sacrificing his place there to Liam Wood, but he just manages to hold on to P4 for the time being.
Yeah, just managing to hold on to P4, but Reece Peacock in 3rd place has went up the road and he's away, so it doesn't look like the likes of Jamie King will be able to get onto that podium position this time around. But 2 chances again tomorrow, 7 laps left to go. Jamie King now looking towards Liam Woods, and there's Taylor Lawrence taking the lead of the race.
Taylor Lawrence into the lead as we come across the line. 6 laps to go. Can he hold on? Lucas Brown has the fastest lap of the race, that time around a 52.389. Absolutely rapid pace from Lucas Brown there. But Taylor Lawrence, it's really wide, and that is surely going to be him losing the position. He does have the inside line, but I don't think he will be losing the position. Lucas Brown, though, absolute flying course. A new lap record there for Lucas Brown, a 52.389. So his fastest lap, smashing the lap record set last year by Taylor Lawrence. So there you go. Taylor Lawrence, of course, swept this round last year. It was a little bit warmer, a bit earlier in the year. It was late August instead of mid-September. The conditions massively different. The temperature has well dropped off. The clouds are out. The wind is up. It is a very different racetrack to how it was last year. I also think it may have been resurfaced, judging from the quality of the track, but I need to ask about that. I need to double check. 5 to go. Lawrence from Brown and Peacock behind them in third, holding off Chris Wells, Liam Wood and Jamie King.
Yeah, we're just going to wait and see what happens, because Lucas Brown diving down the inside is the number 7. Taylor Lawrence now shooting out the corner. His final race weekend, he wants that race win. He wants them positions, because last round at Clandell, it didn't go the way he wanted. He crashed. It crashed 6 times in one weekend. It was pretty much a disaster of a weekend, to be honest. It's not what you want, and now this is what you want. Battle for a race win, but in Lucas Brown's case, this is not what you want. It's back marker time. Back markers come into play so much in the Pit by 140 Classic. You just seen there, Taylor Lawrence getting the better drive, not getting held up. Unlike Lucas Brown, diving down the inside he goes, and taking the race lead he goes with 4 laps to go in this race. Lucas Brown is now looking at the back of Taylor Lawrence, who leads the race.
Once again, we've seen it time and time again this season, not just in the pit bikes, but in every FAB Racing category. Back markers change races. Taylor Lawrence clearly throwing to run a very wide line out of that left-hand hairpin, which you can do, and these pit bikes can do, as Lucas Brown dives up the inside. A very nice move. Textbook stuff there, but it gets the job done. Back into the lead goes the 7. A fierce battle between these two competitors. Of course, firm friends off the track, firm rivals on it. As with all of the pit bike riders, a real community of guys. So lovely here in the FAB Racing paddock, as we see some action further back as well, fighting all throughout the field here in the pit bike 140s. And there we see that is the battle for P4 as Chris Wells gets through on Liam Wood. Jamie King dropping a little way back as well. And actually it's Liam Wood that's got through, apologies. And as we look as well, we've got some battles all throughout the field, as we see that's just some coming through the final section now, as we go back to Liam Wood, Chris Wells, Jamie King just following them as well. Up the front, Lucas Brown retaking the lead from Taylor Lawrence with 3 laps to go. But that is so volatile. It's changing every single corner, Franklin Lewis. It could be anybody winning this race.
Yeah, it certainly could. Lucas Brown leads the way by just 0.2 of a second as Chris Wells looks down the inside.
Taylor getting held up.
Taylor Lawrence has been held up there massively, and they're having to go off the track actually to get past the back marker. So coming across the line now, 2 laps to go. There's Dylan Miller actually. Dylan Miller coming back into the race out of pit lane, just testing maybe that everything is okay with his motorcycle for tomorrow. His brother Owen though is out of the race, so the two brothers having a disaster of a weekend. But Dylan Miller, as I said, has remounted basically. He's managed to go back into pit lane, get whatever it was looked at or fixed, and now he's back on track checking everything for tomorrow. But Owen is out of the race as now the leaders come through our picture once again. Hopefully Dylan will not get in. Hopefully Dylan will not get in their way, and Lucas Brown and Taylor Lawrence can have a scrap for the last lap of Saturday's racing.
Well, I think Taylor Lawrence is hoping he gets in the way of Lucas Brown so that gap can close back up. It was 0.5 of the line last time. Looks to be a lot closer, and yet there you go. Dylan Miller holding up Lucas Brown as they come onto the main straight. He's going to hold up Taylor Lawrence at some point as well, though the gap remains roughly the same. Taylor Lawrence, can he get past him cleanly? Because Miller is running some pretty quick times, and actually Lucas Brown hasn't even got past him yet. Miller's trying to race Lucas Brown. Taylor's going to have to try and get past him at some point as well. Oh, he's letting Taylor through. So there we go. With half a lap roughly left to run, it's all even Stevens once again. Taylor, the gap a little bit bigger than it has been before, but Taylor now surely with the momentum, with the advantage as we come into the bottom end of the track for the final time in race 1. It's Lucas Brown from the departing Taylor Lawrence. Who's going to be on the top step of the podium in race 1 of the Pit Bike 140s? Taylor, will he have a look into the final corner? It's going to be now or never. Last chance saloon for the 2021 champion. Is he able to make the gap in? No. It's going to be Lucas Brown who takes race 1, but Taylor Lawrence made him work for it and will come home in P2. Reese Peacock will take P3 and round out the podium in the process. But Lucas Brown and Taylor Lawrence, the pair of you, take a bow. What a display. What a race you have just put on for our pleasure there. Absolutely superb stuff. Not quite the textbook pit bike race, but a very, very entertaining one nonetheless. And they can both be very, very happy with their respective performances.
Yeah, they certainly can. On that last lap, it was so close. I mean, I think the issue was there, Dylan Mellor he's almost too fast of a rider to get lapped and to get lapped easily, because no blue flags here at Fab. So Dylan Mellor, he runs a quick enough lap time. He did qualify for around 4th position, so he runs quick lap time, so it's so difficult to get past someone that is meant to be at the front, that sadly, due to a mechanical, was not there. But great ride from Lucas Brown and Taylor Lawrence, who just juked out all the way through. But your race leader, Taylor Lawrence, by just 1/10 of a second. It was a very, very close race, and there's confirmation of that. Lucas Brown wins by 1/10 of a second from Taylor Lawrence on his last weekend here with us at Fab. Reese Peacock gets the final podium position, with Chris Wells, Jamie King and Zach Tureen having a monumental battle for that 4th position. Sean Whitaker came home in 7th, Matthew Lindley 8th, Liam Wood in 9th and Chadley Whiten in 10th position to round off our race and our last race of the day. What a race it was, though, to end off Saturday's racing.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff. But of course, don't be upset, don't be afraid. There's still 2 more races to come from every single class tomorrow. Race 2s and race 3s. We may even see some more championships being wrapped up tomorrow. So it's all to play for. So make sure you join us for Sunday's action for round 7 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. But yeah, what a race that was. Especially, Lucas Brown and Taylor Lawrence, just phenomenal stuff out there. And again, backmarkers coming into play once again. But it's been a phenomenal day's worth of racing. I think, of course, the biggest shout out has to go to Ethan Sparks. The first double champion, the first back-to-back champion in LS2 helmets Mini GP70 British Championship history, taking it in race 1 after a dominant season and making history. He's here because he's too young to go into the British Talent Cup this year. If he had a choice, he probably would have gone up, but he couldn't because he's too young, so he stayed. And, well, just unbelievable scenes. And, Ethan Sparks, he's been so brilliant all season long. For me, he's been my star of the day. We've had some fantastic racing all throughout, haven't we, Lewis?
Yeah, we certainly have. And Archie O'Brien as well had a great race, not only in the 50s, but in the 70s, although he had that front brake failure that caused him to retire. It was very, very impressive for him to fight for 5th position in his first ever weekend. But as you mentioned, that is it for today's action here at Rowrah, here in Cumbria, for the 7th round of the FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championship. But fear not, we are back tomorrow for 20 fantastic races. So tune in then on Motorsport Radio and the FAB-Racing channels across all social medias. We'll see you then. Until then, it's goodbye.